Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names, kicking candy ass live. And let me go here with you tonight, only on Grande's Graveyard. And yes, ladies and gents, tonight, it's the girl of your dreams. Yes, tonight it is a horror manga legend. Tonight, the creation of one Junji Ito. I'm talking about her. You got to respect the shirt game. Tomie Kawakami. As Tomie movies are going to be ranked and reviewed tonight on Grande's Graveyard. We've got some fun Japanese chips and sodas to review. We also, of course, have a tier list, and we're going to be discussing who was the best Tomie actress. So I'm very excited tonight on Grande's Graveyard to get a J-Horror in January special going. Always a good time with you guys. And I am really looking forward to talk about this character because I'm just a big fan, and it was really fun to marathon through these movies. We have not one, not two, not three, go all the way to nine, count them, 9 Tomie movies that will be reviewed and ranked here tonight on Grande's Graveyard. Of course, the tier maker of fun from S to F, all 9 Tomie live action movies. And absolutely no regrets, but maybe a regret or two. I don't know. We'll get there. But everybody, I'm very excited to have you in the house, and let's see what y'all have to say in the chat. Joe Mama, this was 2 days ago. It was in the chat, so he was really excited for this. Let's go. Joe Mama was ready on a Tuesday night for a Thursday night graveyard, man. That made me hyped. I saw it, and I was like, that is good, clean comedy, man. So, Joe Mama, I hope you're having a great night, my friend. We got Chris in the house. Beef or stew. That's a different little tag name there, but I know it's good old Chris. Chris, hello, my friend. Throwing a dab up there. Awesome, man. Hope all is well with you. Hope the new job is going good. We got Miss C in the house. Ciao, Grande and Graveyardian friends. Welcome, Miss C. Hope all is well with you. I know Miss C watched one of the bad Tomie movies, unfortunately. Miss C played Spin the Bottle, and the one she got was not a great Tomie film, unfortunately. We got John Haddonfield mascot in the house. What's up, Grande and chat? What's up, John? Hope all is well with you, man. I hope you're okay and you've survived Snowmageddon, because Snowmageddon hit us all here on the East Coast and pretty much all over the country pretty damn hard. So I know we got hit hard PA right here in New York. We got hit hard. A lot of snow. Not very fun, but it's Tomie, it's Snowmie, if you will. We're going to have a good time here tonight on Grande's Graveyard. So stay inside, get some Japanese sodas and candies, and party with me. Shirt game is on point. Yeah, I love this shirt. This was a really, really cool find. I forget which company released this shirt. It might have been a Hot Topic item, but I love this shirt. Like the whole stretch on the bottom here. Pieces of her body were found scattered everywhere. My friend Tomie is dead, ... Just so cool. I don't know. I love this shirt. I'm a sucker for the red and black attack. It, of course, did win the poll that you guys voted for on the Grande's Graveyard Instagram page. This one won by a couple of votes over the sexy purple Tomie shirt, which I might have worn to work today. Don't tell anybody, though. We got Anthony Chabot. Yo, buddy, I'm up to 2019 in the memoirs. Every time you're getting closer, my friend. Hope all's well with you, Anthony. We have Zintel in the house. I know Zintel is a big Tomie fan. What's up, Mr. Graveyard? What's up, Zintel? Hope all is well with you guys. I hope you guys are okay during Snowmageddon. I know New Jersey got hit just as bad as we did. Hi, everyone here, but a little sleepy. Well, hey, man, James Abernathy all the way from the UK. I'm not surprised that you're sleepy because it's probably all hours, like 2 in the morning there or something. So, dude, if you fall asleep, no worries, man. I always appreciate your dedication to watching the replays and getting back to me with comments. I really do appreciate it. Love the shirt, sir. Well, thank you. I love the shirt, too. What, we showed off again? Come on. You can't get enough of the red and black attack. You can't get enough of the girl of your dreams. Let's be perfectly honest here. We got Ryan the Hitman Hanley, 253. What's up, Grande and Graveyard? Hey, man, always doing good. Always a pleasure speaking with you, and I'm happy to have you in the house, my friend. Thank you so much for commenting. Susie's in the house. Susie Chaos. Hello, Graveyard Army. I love you all. Hello, Grande. We missed you. You missed me. It's only been a week. It's only been a week that I've been outside your lives, but I'm here live in living color now. We got Kubrick Lover, 1972. What's going on, Kubrick Lover? He says hi to everybody in the easy. Love the shirt. Let's see a close-up. I mean, Jesus, they were showing this shirt off more than Tomie shows off her Yetis. I don't know. I don't know, a little bit of a glare, though, because it makes her look like pasty white, which she's really not. So sorry about the glare. There's only so much I could do. Maybe one of these days we'll do like a t-shirt video of all my t-shirts I have, because I have a lot of fun ones. Speaking of people with cool t-shirts, Michelle Parsons is in the house all the way from Nova Scotia. Hi, Grande and group. Just here for a minute. Got destroyed on call last night all day. I'm pretty much dead and still on call. Well, hey, Tomie is somebody that you can kill a million times. They can still come back to life. So that maybe is Michelle. I totally feel you. I could never do what you do. You have I don't know. You got some kind of tiger blood or something. So, Michelle, I hope all's well with you. If you need to catch some Z's, do not worry about it, my friend. I hope all is well. And I don't know if Nova Scotia got hit, but we got hit. New job going good. Missing everyone, though. Hey, man, we miss you, too. If it's any consolation, we certainly miss you, too. But it's always nice to catch up on the graveyard and chat when we can. People saying hi to one another. John says, I'm more pissed about the single-digit weather. I've only ever seen the first movie. Excited to hear about the series. Oh, man, we got a lot to discuss. We really got a lot to discuss. So I'm happy to have you here. That's a box set you're covering on this stream, right? So there's no box set. This is, to my knowledge, the only movie of the Tomie franchise to get a Blu-ray release that is in print. Now, keep that in mind. So this is the only one, the original Tomie, and this is from Arrow Video, of course. This is the one that did get a physical media release. A lot of them did receive official DVD releases. However, a lot of them are out of print. If you want Tomie Another Face, aka Part 2, try paying $150 for a DVD copy of it. That's what it costs. It's out of print for quite some time. I believe there is a DVD with the first 5 films on it. That is also hardish to find, but you'll find it for a better price than $150. There's a bootleg company, I believe, called Sloppy Seconds, and they have all the Tomie movies for $25 on bootleg Blu-ray. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. I don't know how good that release is. It's a $25 gamble, basically. If it turns out good, yeah, you got the whole series for $25. I don't know. It's kind of tough, but there is no official box set that's from an actual legitimate company that I wish would happen. I'd be all for this movie series getting an official like box set release because I think it deserves it. Now, I don't know. It may be dependent on how the first one sold. I will say this. On the features, there's trailers for the first 5. So I wonder maybe Arrow's going to do the other, like maybe the first 5 on Blu-ray, which would be enough for me. I would be stoked for that because honestly, the first 5 are probably probably the ones that are going to be watched the most. After part 5, it does go downhill a little bit. Hope the snow isn't pounding you as hard as you. Jerseyans. Jesus Christ. I caught a stray bullets in tail. What the hell? That was uncalled for. Well, at least I gave Tomie a try, but it was a sucky one. Yeah, that was part 7, I think you watched. So, yeah, not one of the better ones. People saying hi to one another. Oh, Nova Scotia got hit, and we're getting another storm this weekend. We're getting another storm this weekend, too, so that's not going to be fun. And Cooper Glover's doing all his little raps. So we're going to get on with the show, I promise. However, with the J-Horror specials, I always like to do a little bit of a Japanese tasting test, if you will, right? I usually go to the local Japanese market, but this time I jumped out of my element. I got there before Snowmageddon came in. I went to the H Mart and I got some fun Japanese treats to try only on Grande's Graveyard. So we'll get into the Japanese treats. We'll get into who the hell Tomie is, because I know a lot of people over the week were telling me, I've never heard of this. Who the hell is Tomie Kawakami? You need to dedicate me, Grande. I will dedicate you all. We'll get into the 9 films. We'll get into who the best Tomie is, and we will have absolutely no regrets tonight on Grande's Graveyard. So before we get into the topic, before we get into the movies at hand, first and foremost, cheers. Cheers to the very greatest graveyardians that there is in the world. What we're drinking tonight is carbonated Ramoon strawberry soda, if you will. Sorry for the fucking glare. You have to take my word on it, because if I put it too close, you won't be able to see. But this is a first-time try. I tried the blueberry, which was very good. I tried the standard. I tried the blue Hawaii. All those were very good, but I figured we saved the strawberry for the graveyard. So cheers, everybody, to a safe, happy, healthy weekend, and we're going to get the show underway. Oh, man, that is good. I really like the strawberry taste. And I know strawberry is generally what we do on these J-Horror specials, but we did a little different. We didn't get any traditional candy that we do on these shows, but I very much do like that. If anyone's a big fan of Japanese soda, I do highly recommend that. The strawberry one was very good. Now, generally, I know we do like candies and stuff like that, and I've got some candies, but I also have some chips, and I guess we're going to do the chips first, but I'll show you what I got first. Of course, it's not a Nestle Crunch bar. It's a Crunky bar, a Japanese Crunky bar from, of course, the good old land of Japan, the beast from the east, if you will. We're going to be trying this. We'll try this last. But we also got some 2 really interesting bags of chips here from, of course, a little company called Calbee. And this is a big bag of pizza potato chips all the way from Japan. This is really, really cool. Melty cheese and the fun pictures on there. Really cool. And also, I don't know if we have any seafood fans in the house, but I did get this from the H Mart as well. It's shrimp chips, by God, shrimp chips. all the way from the good land of Japan. So we're going to try these things before we get into Tomie Kawakami and all of her craziness. But everybody, cheers. Let's give it a shot. I think we're going to try the pizza chips first because I'm very curious to see how these go. And wow, this thing is fucking airtight, I'll tell you that much. Is this a different way to open this? Because this is really fucking tight here. Okay, we got it. We got it open. We're going to try some of these pizza chips. Let's do it. The pizza chip of fuck. Okay, I really like these. It reminds me of like, I don't know if people remember, there used to be pizza Pringles. I don't really see them much anymore, but it's very similar, but it's much more in like a ruffle type of shape. So imagine Ruffles regular, but if it had the flavor of a Pringles pizza, that's kind of what this tastes like. I'm pretty good. I like that. I definitely like that. I will have more of those. These were the ones I was most looking forward to, though. Shrimp chips. I was like, dude, what in the hell are shrimp chips? Like, how good will these taste or not? These are like vacuum sealed, though. I will say, this shit will last longer in Japan because this motherfucker, I got to use my fucking muscles to open this shit. Okay, shrimp chips. Let's give this a shot. I actually want to smell this. What the fuck? This smells like there's actually shrimp in here. That is, holy shit, dude, that's crazy, dude. It literally smells like a bunch of fucking raw shrimp in here. I can't imagine how good. I feel like this is going to taste like shit, but we're going to see. The shrimp chips of fuck here look like French fries. I mean, not much flavor. It smells like, it just smells like shrimp. I don't know. These don't have enough flavor for me. Now, big bucks on the shrimp chips. Unless you like some, like, you know, I know there's some people that like veggie sticks or whatever the fuck. Maybe that's better, but I don't know. And lastly, but not leastly, let's try a Crunky. Let's try a Crunky chocolate bar, if you will. 250 calories of chocolate goodness here. I hope the golden ticket's inside. I don't know. We're going to have to seal this up because I don't want to eat the whole fucking thing. That's the thing. When you do a live show and you got a live audience, people after a while be like, all right, you fucking asshole. I want to hear about Tomie movies. I want to stop eating fucking Japanese shit. But, you know, that's what we're doing here tonight. And I will say all this shit is so properly sealed. Like it's like a bitch to get all of it out, to be honest with you. This is kind of fun. Okay, so we got this. Let's open her up if we can here. Okay. And now this is a Crunky bar, and I'll show you guys just a little bit of it. That's the Crunk. And we're going to break off a piece. Let's break off a piece here. Cheers. Okay. And that's just basically your Nestle Crunch bar. Like literally verbatim a Nestle Crunch bar. Like I would never know. If you literally put the two next to me and blindfolded me, I would never know the difference. I'm good, though. I like it. Okay. So, before we get into it, that was the fun Japanese candies and of course chips and stuff. Let's see what y'all have to say in the chat, and then we'll get into who the hell Tomie is. Japanese people have the weirdest food. I will say I like a lot of it. This is a fun thing I like to do with the J Horror specials is to go to the H Mart and just experiment with some stuff and get some fun things to try. So, I don't know. I like trying new things. Keeps it fresh. Keeps it interesting. Like the vending machines. Yeah, they have pizza vending machines in Japan. That's another, like, I would love to go and have a pizza from the Vendi. Like, that just sounds too much fun. We got JP in the house with a very funny, that's an amazing fucking avatar right there. That is amazing. Triple H with the Saudi Arabia. I think things like mayonnaise and mint together, I don't know. They make crazy snacks. Well, thankfully, I didn't try anything that crazy. We got Dr. Howdy in the house. I'll give you a Crunky for your chestnut hair. Awesome stud. Oh, handsome stud. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Hogg. I appreciate that. People saying what up, shove one up my ass. Well, that would give me ratings for sure. Slasher Fred or Lay's. Yeah, I don't know. The little, it really reminded me more of like Ruffles with the pizza flavor on it from Pringles. I can't explain it, but those are good. I'm gonna have that in the chocolate for sure. The shrimp chips, that was a big bust. It smells like shrimp. But man, it ain't shrimp. I don't know. How much did the food cost? No, it wasn't expensive. You use standard whatever a bag of chips costs nowadays. Chestnut locks are back in their movie star glory. Oh my God. Grande is going to eat the super happy Gonzo Bonzo crazy candy bar. They have names like that. You should do an entire episode sampling of food from other countries. I'd watch that 100%. Would you? Would you really? I always, one of the things I wanted to do out of college was I wanted to do like food reviewing, like how they do the diners, drive-ins, and dive show. I feel like I'd be good at a show like that, like me just driving around the country, visiting all these weird people. Because I'm like moth to a flame of weird people. Like weird people like look at me and they're like, oh my god, and they just come to me like a fucking moth to a flame, and it usually never ends well. I like Japanese food, Grande. Just the vending machines seem weird. Yeah, no, hey, I hear that for sure. But enough of the Japanese food talk and soda talk. It was a lot of fun to try all these things. Still don't know who the fuck Tomie is, as AJ Zetro chimes in. Well, that's what I'm here to do. That's what I'm here to educate you about, my friend. So you'd sit back, relax, get your little White Castle on. I know you got some White Castle today, my friend. And we're going to get into who the hell Tomie Kawakami is. This Black Glove Reviews also comes in. Evening All only got the Tomie manga, but you don't need to read that. Well, dude, be prepared to be educated. So, you mentioned Junji Ito. You mentioned the creator. You mentioned absolute horror legend. I mean, Junji Ito's stories have kind of stood the test of time. And I looked deep into his career and how he got his start. And he's one of those guys, to me, that started from nothing and took everything. And what do I mean by that? Junji Ito was a guy that was working as a dental assistant in the late 1980s, and he would read all these Japanese magazines, and then he eventually read one that it was an offer for a competition, and you could write your own short story manga, if you will, with all these fun illustrations, and you could submit it to see if you could be featured in the magazine for the next month. So Junji Ito tried several times with several characters that would go on to be big, like Soichi was the one that he tried to get with. It didn't work. All until he came up with the ideology of Tomie Kawakami, who, of course, the lady of the hour, the lady with the power, too sweet to be sour. He comes up with Tomie Kawakami, and basically what Tomie Kawakami is the girl of your dreams. She's the most beautiful and irresistible woman in the world, and she has an insatiable thirst and lust for revenge and vengeance against men. And basically what Tomie does is, if Tomie comes to meet you, let's say Tomie is entered in your class, right? The proverbial foreign exchange student. That class is set to explode. That class is set to expire because Tomie has arrived and she's now running the show. She's a master manipulator that can make any man do anything that she wants. And of course, she can pull all the strings along the way. That's the fun of Tomie Kawakami, right? She goes to a class or a high school or a setting of that kind, and she kind of manipulates men and kind of wraps them around her proverbial finger, and then she can make them do whatever it is that she wants you to get to do. And that's Tomie. And of course, the whole fun of it, the whole thing that makes her a horror icon, is generally what happens is men get violently angry with her or jealous of her attraction to someone else, and they will kill her. They'll kill Tomie. They'll chop her up into itty-bitty pieces. But what makes Tomie so special is you can't kill her. You cannot kill what's already dead. Tomie is just like diamonds. She's forever. And she will regenerate from those pieces that you chop up. She will come back for the vengeance that she so desires and thirsts for. And that's the fun of this character. And he, of course, submitted that to the magazine. He got runner-up. It was featured, but it wasn't the winner. But he struck a nerve. And then all of a sudden, the magazines were contacting him. Do you have any other Tomie stories? Do you have any other ideas? And Junji Ito had tons of them, right? Uzumaki was another really big one, right? The horrors of spirals. And Soichi, the crazy little kid with the nails and all that. She had so many great, interesting ideas, and Tomie was always one of the more popular ones. And basically what they did was every week they'd have a new Tomie story. And then, of course, over time, they did novels and stuff like that. And the way Tomie works in, of course, manga form was more so an anthology setting, where we do these little short stories of Tomie and we drop her into all these different predicaments for her to kind of encounter. And there's so many good ones. If you're a big fan of reading and you're into manga especially, so many good Tomie stories. There's one of my favorites is Tomie is, of course, corpseless head. She's just a fucking headless corpse, right? She's laying on the beach, and this little kid by chance finds her one day. And he says, "Oh my God, Miss, like, where's the rest of your body? What's going on?" And she says, listen, I don't want you to tell anybody about me. I want you to help me by just being quiet about it. And I want you to come back here every day. I want you to check on me." And basically what happens is she wraps this little boy around her finger, and this boy who genuinely wanted to help her, genuinely wanted to get her, to rescue, ultimately becomes the victim and pawn in her chess game. And he is turned against his mother, his father, his friends at school, and he's driven to ultimate madness by this headless corpse on the beach. And you see the evil of Tomie Kawakami. That's one of my favorite Japanese manga stories in the history of the world. It's just, to me, it's so evil, and it really gets the psychology right when it comes to horror. And to me, that's why I love Junji Ito. I think his stories are tremendous, and Tomie is one of my favorite characters that he birthed. And of course, that lies the film series that followed. Of course, 9 films. And I mean, it's absolutely crazy. We're going to get into it. I'm going to go comments one more time, and we'll get into the films because we've got a lot to discuss here tonight. A lot of people that would go on to play Tomie. And the cool thing about the whole Tomie series too is it's almost like James Bond. It's almost like the Doctor in Doctor Who, right? What do I mean by that? Every single Tomie movie, you have a different actress playing Tomie, almost to show that she is forever, that she is never going to age, and she is going to come in so many different various forms, but she's also still the same Tomie that we know and love, or of course fear and run away from. And that's the brilliance of the whole thing. Let's see where we were in comments. You draw weird people? No shit. Yeah, why? It's fucking the truth. Did someone say weird people? Hey, Grande. Hey, Alpha Romero. Hey, Alpha Romero just did an awesome interview with Norman England, who, fun enough, is the, I guess, manager for Takako Fuji, of course, who the Japanese horror fans will know from Ju-on the Grudge series and Ju-on the Curse and stuff like that, Reincarnation. It was a great interview. I caught like the last hour and a half, 2 hours of it. Great stuff. So if you guys want to check out a great interview, Norman England was a great get for Alpha Romero. So hope all is well with you, Alpha. I hope you were okay during Snowmageddon. I don't know how bad you guys got hit. We got hit pretty good. Ciao, Grande. Hi to the whole chat, here for educational opportunities. Japan cinema, not my forte. No worries, my friend. I hope all is well with you. Always excited to get my education going. For the record, I would also watch a whole episode of you eating weird food. Okay, it seems that I've missed my calling. This whole horror thing is passe and no one gives a shit. Let's just do weird food reviews only on the Graveyard. Graveyard rhyming now. Yeah, for sure. I watched Tomie Part 6, and I still don't know who Tomie is. Oh, boy. Hi, all. AJ Zetro. She is def a femme fatale. Sure. Femme fatale is a good way to describe it, for sure. Definitely a femme fatale that never ages, a femme fatale that comes back, a femme fatale that has all these fun little attributes along the way. And I don't know. I love the character. The character is a big reason why I love this genre. Grande, did I see Tomie notice a Arrow's website? That is Tomie from 1998, the first movie, but I wasn't sure if it was a box set. It's just the original movie. Uzumaki is Ito's magnum opus, in my opinion. A lot of people feel that way, and they did do live adaptations of Uzumaki. They just did an animated series on Uzumaki. So if you're into that stuff, I mean, there's tons of Uzumaki live action content as well. I did review Uzumaki on one of the J-Horror special episodes. I've got to watch it. Yeah, no, there's a Blu-ray of it. I believe there's a 4K coming of it as well that just got announced by Umbrella, I want to say. My copy of Uzumaki from Asia, also Dissolving Classroom, like no one talks about from him. Okay. I have been collecting his short stories and manga. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Oh, Norm was amazing. He really was. He was a great guest. I enjoyed that episode a lot. We got about a foot or so fun times. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, never a good time. But let's dive in. Let's dive into the very first Tomie movie from, of course, the year 1998. And I will drag this up here, of course. And it's definitely not in the F column, I promise. We're just singling out because we're talking about it. And of course, I've got a brief plot synopsis of this movie that came out in 1998. A traumatized young woman is trying to recover her memories with the help of a psychiatrist. During her hypnosis sessions, she repeats the name Tomie, but is unable to recall where she knows it from. Yes, Tomie from 1998. Now, you got to keep in mind when we're talking about this particular movie, the original live-action Tomie, it's that Japanese horror was booming the year it came out. 1998 was a big banner year in Japanese horror cinema. And you had so many guys on the rise, right? You had a Hideo Nakata who comes out with Ring and literally changed horror, not just in Japan, but also here in the States. You had guys like Sion Sono, who was in college at the time, a guy who was an up-and-comer who would make awesome movies like Hair Extensions and Suicide Club and all these great movies. You had up-and-comers like Takashi Shimizu, who will be no stranger to the Tomie series. Of course, he would go on to direct Part 4, among so many other good movies that we have talked about on here. Mari Bito, Ju-on the Grudge, Reincarnation, a lot of great Takashi Shimizu cinema that we've discussed here on Grande's Graveyard, and he was no stranger, like I said, to this series. What happened with this was, why don't we take a popular character of the manga, right? Japanese horror is booming. Ring just came out, set the world on fire. Why not make Tomie and make this movie on for the big screen? Let's make a live action movie. Let's make a lot of fucking money, right? That was their ideology. They had dollar signs in their eyes, and they reached out to Junji Ito himself because they wanted his blessing. And I think they also knew that it couldn't just be a cheap cash grab. They had to have some kind of force behind it. They had to have some kind of creative to approve everything and get everything working, right? Because if you come out and it's a stinker, then you have no franchise to jump on. The kind of wind is taken away from the sails, and you don't have a franchise. Instead, you've got a one-off, and you can wonder what could have been for the rest of eternity. Thankfully, that's not what happened here. Instead, they reached out to Ito, and Ito said, I'm not interested in writing it. I'm not interested in directing it, but I am interested in the casting process. And they reached out to Ito and they said, okay, well, what do you have in mind? And he says, well, I have an actress in mind for the lead titular villain character, Tomie. He says, I want Miho Kano. And they, of course, were like, okay, what about her? And he goes, I can coach her. I can teach her. She's Tomie. Like I will stand and die on that hill. And he was very adamant about how he felt. And they reached out to Miho Kano and she said, absolutely, I'll do it. And he kind of is a big reason why I think Miho Kano, A, does this movie, and B, is so good in it as the titular Tomie. And I love the movie. Now, I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people say it's too much of a slow burn and they feel like not enough happens in this film. And it's also very nonsensical in a lot of ways. And I hear that. I totally hear that gripe. But I freaking love this movie. Now, of course, it tells the story of Tetsuko, who is this girl who is plagued by recurring nightmares. She's told of an accident that happened 3 years prior, but she has amnesia and she cannot remember these things. So every day she goes to the psychiatrist and she does this hypnosis to try to make her remember the events. And she every night wakes up screaming of these horrible nightmares where she's covered in blood and the only name that presides in her mind is Tomie. But she doesn't know who that is. She doesn't know what that person looks like. She has no idea. She's completely lost. She, of course, lives at home with her boyfriend. She's getting into photography, and she's trying to move on with her life. That's Tetsuko. But on an apartment just below, we do see a young man with a bruised and battered, disfigured eye and an eye patch, and he's carrying around a little bag with a severed head in it. And that's, of course, what we have on the poster here, the little bag with the eye poking out of it, right? The Tomie's eye watching through. And he is kind of raising this decapitated head and feeding it all these weird things like baby food and bugs and all these weird things as we see the head over time start to develop into a young girl and then ultimately into Tomie Kawakami. Now, the interesting thing that the director did here, what I think was the smartest thing he did, was, of course, keeping the monster in your monster movie in the shadows. And I'm sure a lot of people go, what do you mean monster movie in Tomie? That doesn't correlate, Grande. What are you talking about? Well, the director, who I will say, Ataro Okawa, is the man who directed this. He did a really good job and would come on to direct a couple of Tomie movies down the road. He wanted to keep Tomie Kawakami in the shadows as if she was a monster. And I think a lot of people, that threw them off. I think they figured Tomie will be front and center in her own movie, right? She'll be the one with the most screen time. And it's the exact opposite. We keep her in the shadows. If she was Bruce from Jaws, or if she was a monster in some sort of obscure, low-budget monster movie, right? We don't want to show the monster or the unveil until the very end. And that's kind of the way he approached it. And I thought that was brilliant, because instead what you do is you bring in some really good acting talent. And who do I mean by that? Of course, you have Tetsuya, the Iron Man himself, Tomoro Taguchi as Detective Harada in this, and he comes in and tells her past, right? Tomie was entered in this class, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 killed themselves. These 7 are in an institution. These 8 have never been seen again. He kind of lays out the template of what she is and what she causes, right? Every single person in the class photo has either died, gone insane, or gone missing because of Tomie and her powers, right? And her strength and her insatiable lust for revenge, right? And all these people have kind of gone missing. And I love the way they set it up. It's almost like a neo-noir mystery. You're like, wait a minute, what is Tomie? What is going on? And he states that she's been dead for 3 years, but I've looked over history, I've looked over time, and it seems like she's been doing this for the past 200 years. And she always keeps the form of a beautiful 18, 19-year-old girl, and nobody can ever really explain it. And I love how that's done. To me, that was so smart with the first film. World build. Tell me Tomie's story. Tell me why I should fear her. Don't necessarily blow your load in the first 5 minutes. I see what she is. I see what she's got. And then that's it. They were so smart to keep it in the shadows. And the director, they literally shoot the movie around Tomie. We don't really see her face until the 70-minute mark of an hour-and-a-half movie. We film from behind. We film from all these weird angles. We film from transparent glasses that kind of cover her face just enough so you can't make out what she looks like. And we see her strengths, right? There's one point where this guy has raised her and fed her all these things. I'm done with you. I've grown bored with you. That's what she tells him. And she goes off to get a job, and she starts working in a restaurant. You can see how all of the people working at the restaurant are just gazing and like puppy dog eyes on Christmas, looking at this girl. Oh, she's so beautiful. Oh, do you think she'd date me? All this stuff. And you see how she turns them all against one another without doing a damn thing other than being herself. And they're all starting to try to kill each other and threaten each other and all these things. And it basically is a movie that is a big, big buildup, a 70-minute buildup until we get to the finale of what happened and what is the tie between Tetsuko and Tomie. What is the tie there? And it all ends with this big confrontation in a hospital where, of course, Setsuko is tied to the bed where she's being hypnotically, I guess, entranced by the doctor for most of the film. And instead of the doctor sitting across from her, it's Tomie Kawakami. And that's the first time we see her in the light, in the fucking, away from the shadows. And it's Miho Kano with those great orange eye contacts. We see those great orange eye contacts and they kind of fade away. And to me, what you get is one of the all-time greatest performances in horror. And I know that sounds crazy. I know people, Grande, just a mark for Japanese cinema. I hear you. And I'm a shameless mark for Japanese cinema. I will be the first one to tell you that. However, if you love acting, if you love this thing called horror, if you love great performances in film, whether you don't like horror or not, Miho Kano as Tomie Kawakami in this film is so inspirational to me. She is incredible in this role. It is worth watching this movie, despite some people saying it's boring, despite some people saying it's not all that good, it's no Ring, it's no Ju-on, whatever. That you're entitled to your opinion. It is worth sitting through just to see that performance and the encounter at the end of this woman just absolutely unleashing on Tetsuko, where you learn what happened, right? They unfold the mystery before your eyes, where Tetsuko and her were best friends in school, and Tomie finally found someone that she was friends with and didn't have to manipulate, and the rage was going away. And then, of course, Tomie seduced her boyfriend, and Tetsuko got upset and decided to take pictures and write Monster Girl and spread them throughout the school. And of course, that made all hell break loose, and Tomie had them all put away in one way or another. And of course, this is the encounter years and years later. Now you remember, you called me a monster. And I love Miho Kano, the way they shoot it. It's a big close-up on her face as you just see her trying to keep her like facial muscles and expression all kind of like in, and then she just lets it out and starts yelling at her. Do you know what it meant to me when you called me a monster? Do you know what it meant to me? She's screaming at her like, you fucking bitch. And it's so convicting and compelling. I just love her performance in this, the intensity that she brings and the emotions and stories she tells with her face. It's some of the best stuff you will ever see in any film. I truly, truly believe that. And I think it's just amazing. Great, great stuff from Miho Kano. Was born to play this character. And Junji Ito was right. And I think a lot of the power that comes from this movie, right, and the intensity, like I say, it is because of Mio Kano. And I think that Junji Ito, despite not being involved with any of the other movies, other than obviously the IP of Tomie and the idea of Tomie, his call there and to coach her, she got it. She totally got it, right? You could be the sweet kind of, oh, I'm innocent, I'm Tomie, and then to bam, just turn gear and just go evil out of nowhere and say your true intention, right? She goes on this whole speech of you'll get old, you'll get soggy, you'll marry some piece of shit that doesn't love you, you'll have some ugly kid, you'll grow old and you'll grow tiresome. But I will stay young forever. I'll be beautiful forever because I am forever. And that is what I am. I am Tomie. And you may think I'm a monster, but you're the sorry one, not me. I love that. I love the conviction between the two. And then all the hell breaks loose, right? There is a picture that, of course, Tomie throws behind her, and it ends up being the girl and her boyfriend, Tetsuko, and her boyfriend. He comes in with an axe, decapitates her, and of course, we all know that Tomie is forever. You could chop her up into pieces, but more Tomies will grow. And we get a really cool ending where they're on this dock and the two of them are talking, and Tomie kisses Setsuko, and the two of them laugh, and Tomie says, "You are me and I am you." And she's like, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" We fast forward to like a year later, it's modern day, and we see Setsuko has moved on with her life. Tomie is in the rearview mirror, and she gets home to develop her pictures. She gets home, she's developing, and she sees the little mole from Tomie, the beauty mark from Tomie that's iconic and become one of the biggest parts about her character. She sees it on her own pictures of herself, and she freaks out, runs over to the mirror, and she's like, "Oh my God, I have it." And then Tomie appears next to her and puts her arm around her like, "Look, you're me now." And the whole twist is she's turned Setsuko into Tomie. Now you become the very thing you call a monster. Now you are doomed to live the life of forever like me. Now you're not going to grow old. Now you're not going to have that husband that doesn't love you or the kid. Now you're not going to do all these things that it sounds like in this one that Tomie is envious of, which I thought was a nice touch. Now you're going to be the very thing you despise and hate. Now you're me. Now you're Tomie. To me, man, that's a bow on top. That's horror 101, and that's why I really love the first Tomie movie. I think it's a great one. I highly recommend it. People, physical media collectors out there, get this Blu-ray. This is a good fucking movie, and I know that a lot of people, again, read a ton of reviews that do not like this movie. This is a movie that gets a 5.3 on IMDb, so maybe I'm overrating it. Maybe I'm a mark. I don't know. But to me, it did everything right. You created a world, you established a character, you didn't have to show her until the very end, and yet it still had its intensity and impact, just like if you had shown her throughout the whole thing and she had been the star of the show. Horror 101, really, really good filmmaking. To me, the first Tomie is an S-tier movie. I love the first one. And yeah, spoiler alert, it is my favorite of the bunch. I love Tomie, the original from 1998. And it's just, to me, horror done right. Horror done next to perfect, in my humble opinion. But let's see what y'all have to say in the comments. I'm always curious to see what you have to say. If you guys are fans of this one. Working against expectations, Grande maybe makes films different. Well, to me, I would say that it depends on the situation, right? I mean, this was I truly think that there are people that do not like any of the Tomie movies, right? Like they're hardcore with the manga. They don't like that you add color to a world that doesn't have color, right? Junji Ito art doesn't have color to it. It's all black and white. Why would you put it in color? Why would you do it in live action? Why would you make it an hour and a half? Tomie works in short stories, right? It doesn't work when you add 90-minute runtime to it. I get that. I get a lot of people I totally could see why they would shit on this. Oh, the movie's called Tomie, but Tomie's not in it till the 70-minute mark. What are you doing? What they're doing is working horror backwards. What they're doing is building the fucking suspense and the atmosphere and the creep element into the ultimate payoff. That's what we used to call old school horror. A lot of people don't like that now. A lot of people did not want that. And to be fair, it didn't fit in with what Japanese horror cinema was doing at the time. It didn't fit in with a movie like Pulse. Didn't fit in with The Ring. Didn't fit in with any of that stuff. It just didn't work on that same level. Instead, it kind of worked it backwards. And I think what people thought, at least this is what my mentality is of people that don't like this movie, I think they thought it was a bad move. They think they thought they played it almost too overthought it, and if that's the case and people feel that way, that's totally fine. I just don't. I think exactly, or xenomorph and alien, exactly. We don't see the full xenomorph until later on, right? It wouldn't make sense to show the xenomorph at the first fucking reel of the film. Okay, now I know what it is. Now you got to fill a 2-hour movie? Huh? How are we going to do that? To me, you keep it in the shadows and then bam. And like, I thought that was such a cool way to do it. That's something that only an old school guy would do. And what's funny is, Okawa, he was an up and comer. This was one of his first movies. And I thought that was the right direction to take it, but a lot of people would disagree, like Samara in The Ring. Grande, I love how you do your homework and prepare for streams. You're full of life and enthusiasm, which captures watchers' interest. Your enthusiasm is contagious. No wonder lots of people come here. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you to say. Yeah, no, man, I get it. I totally that. This is the thing. I love horror movies. Like I could talk about them. I wish to God I could do this for a living. I really do. Like, I love it so much. And like, it's not even you probably hear watch 9 movies in a week. That sounds like torture. And yeah, don't get me wrong, some of these movies are fucking horrible. I'll be the first one to tell you, and we'll get there. But man, when it's good, that's the thing, right? And I say this a lot. When horror movies are good, there's nothing in the world like it. I feel the same way with pro wrestling. I feel the same way with sports. I feel the same with relationships. When it's clicking, it's rare that it's working on all cylinders. But when it is, man, it's oh so beautiful. And it reminds you, there's points in your life where you remind yourself, that's why I do this. That's why I watch this. That's at least how I look at it. I see the wraps. I've never seen these. I might grab that set from Sloppy. Yeah, no, if you want all 9 movies, you can get it from Sloppy. I'll be honest with you, I've never ordered anything from Sloppy. I was talking with Dr. Howdy before, and I think he has. So I don't know. I honestly have never done it. But if you want to if you do and you tell me that they're all looking okay, I'll do it too. I'm just hesitant because you never know bootlegs. You could totally get fucked. And I don't want that to happen to you or anybody. So it's a great slow burn. The cinematography is so nice. Felt like Dean Cunny at times. Dude, that's a great fucking point. It really does. It really does have that Cundy CinemaScope feel to it. That's a great call from Mr. Haddonfield mascot. I wholeheartedly agree with you. That is what it looks like for sure. Bruce and Jaws, maybe you will do it for. Yeah, maybe. In Duel, we never see the driver of the truck that is harassing Dennis Weaver's character. And I'll one up you. In Joyride, you never see Rusty Nail in the first movie. You never see him. We know it's the Ted Levine voice, right? And you should fix the tail light. I'm looking for candy cane. It's to me, that's brilliant. Like, that stuff it's really smart to do it that way. I'm watching movies all the time, all kinds of movies mostly. Same here. People talking. I've ordered them from them a bunch. They are pretty solid, usually specify picture quality in the description. Okay, awesome. That is really cool. I've never done it, and that's why I didn't. Instead, I downloaded them all. But, man, I watched some of these in quality that I don't even think they've invented yet. Like, some of these Tomie movies, it looks like they were shot with a potato, unfortunately. And I think that was just the transfers that I got illegally downloaded. So I will take a shot. If you order it and you tell me it's worth the shit, Ryan Hanley, I will do it. It's true. I get more out of watching Grande than watching movies a lot of time. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes, sometimes I talk up. That's the thing. People say I'm a negative Nancy. I laugh because, man, when I put a movie over, I put it over. And people will say, oh, you fucking hate everything. I hate some shit. That's true. Speaking of Joyride, there's another good film by the same title with Melanie Griffith. Okay, yes, that is a good one. Tobey Maguire, I believe. But yes, the first Tomie is awesome. I highly recommend it. Really, really good one in my humble opinion. A movie that I think a lot of people should see. More people should see. Which brings us to the sequel. A movie that is very, very hated. A movie that I personally have grown on tremendously over time. This was the sequel from 1999. This is Tomie, Another Face. Brief plot synopsis. The mysterious Tomie, the girl who cannot die, makes her way through 3 separate episodic stories of terror. Now, what Tomie, Another Face did, which I don't know if everyone knows this that has seen the movie, wasn't necessarily supposed to be a movie. What their initial ideology was, like, $. Okay, the first Tomie comes out, gets a lukewarm to positive reception, makes some money, not a ton. How do we gauge interest between the first Tomie movie and the third Tomie movie? How do we do that? Because those were 2 theatrically released movies. I know what we'll do is we'll film 3 separate short segments, right? Like teasers, like, I guess, oh man, Sizzlers was the word I'm looking for. Sizzlers like episodes where we'll do 3 of them to gauge interest, and we'll let them go over time to kind of get people excited and ready for the third Tomie movie, which will be in the movie theaters. Because Tomie number 2, Tomie Another Face, was not released in cinemas worldwide. Instead, it was released the week of Halloween of 1999, October the 25th, 1999. This was released direct to TV, and it is known as a V Cinema. And I know probably a lot of people, what the fuck is V Cinema, Grande? I'll tell you what V Cinema is. V Cinema, if you're a fan of Ju-on the Curse, prime example, that's a V Cinema, right? These are movies that went direct to TV in order to gauge interest and raise money to make movies that would then go to the theater amongst the same IP. So if this Tomie Sizzler does good, we'll make Tomie 3 in the movie theater. We'll give you a little bit more money. And that was the ideology. This went V Cinema, direct to TV. Wasn't supposed to be a movie. It was supposed to be 3 separate shorts that then they said, fuck it, why don't we edit them all together and we'll release it as the second movie. This will be the sequel. This will be Tomie Another Face, where it's an anthology of Tomie across 3 stories like the manga. A great idea. To me, that's genius idea because, again, if you would release these separately, I don't know if they work. But as a whole, I love this movie. Like, this has become my second favorite of the movies. I really enjoy this one. The first time I saw it, I was lukewarm. Second time it grew on me. It's one of those movies, every time I've watched it, I like it way more. And Tomie Another Face is a prime example to me of a really, really good idea executed properly despite the lack of money. Because this thing does look cheap, and it does look really, really, really low budget. I mean, to the point of you wonder what their budget was. You have 3 stories, and of course, Tomie is the main antagonist in all 3. And I can go through the stories for you. The first story is this guy who's sad over the death of his girlfriend, Tomie. Tomie has died, and he's walking to school one day, and this girl who's been crushing on him for years finally gets the guts up to ask him out. Hey, could we go out sometime? I know you're sad about Tomie, but I think you need somebody here. She's basically just smoozing the guy, like, I really want to go out with you type of thing. And who would show up but Tomie Kawakami? Hey, guys, why are you looking at me like I'm a ghost? And we get these great, almost Lalo Schifrin-esque music. La, 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 la. As fucking Tomie is standing there, and everybody's like, whoa, you're dead. You died. What are you doing here? And all of a sudden, it's like she's back in his life, and he's, oh, I'm so happy to have you. I'm so lucky. You know, there's points where he's, giving her all these jewelry and things like that. And he's head over heels until, things take a turn for the worst. And of course, Tomie in this movie is played by Runa Nagi. Holy cow. Runa Nagi, I will say, some people don't like her as Tomie. I loved her as Tomie. She is by far, to me, the most attractive of the Tomie actresses. What a gorgeous woman. And to me, what was so cool about this movie is that the ideology of the character is to be irresistible, to lure a man in like he's, a moth to a flame or a fish to a worm on a hook, right? Bait you in. That's what she did to me as I'm watching this. I mean, I'm like, holy shit, I know you're bad news, but I would fucking let you be succubus to me. Like, I would totally be okay if Runa Nagi killed my ass. Like, I will be okay. Like, what better way to die than to have Runa Nagi kill your ass over, seducing you and wrapping you around your finger and jewelry and dinners and the whole 9 yards. I mean, I'm cool with it because she brought such a great childlike element to Tomie. She talks very like the schoolgirl voice, like, hi, Sissiko, hi. Like, all of it. I can't do it because I fucking can't do it, but she's great. I love the childlike element, the way she delivers it to kind of lure you in. Like, I'm innocent. I'm holier than thou. I couldn't harm a fly. That type of mentality to get you in. And then when she has to switch gears, she did it seamlessly. I'm grown bored of you. I'm done with you. Get away from me. I love somebody else, And we watch her play this character over these 3 segments, and I love all 3. The first segment, like I said, she's dating this guy again. There's a point where the other girl sets her up because she sees her around town with another guy. She kind of sets her up and gets her to admit it. And he kind of pulls out around the corner. He's like, you bitch, you fucking lied to me. How could you do this? And there's a struggle. Tomie gets pushed off a roof and bam, hits the ground. And then the 2 of them will cover it up. So they kind of take her to the woods. They dig a hole and put her in the fucking woods. They come back. And then Tomie's standing at the steps, just like at the beginning of the segment. And she's like, hey, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost. And she kind of shows the jewelry. She goes, oh, hey, you dropped your jewelry. You didn't take this with you. Love that. The middle story is my favorite. The middle story is of this photographer, and he's going around town, and one day he sees this beautiful woman that's standing at the peak of a hill, and he's taking pictures of her from a distance without permission. He's kind of taking pictures, and he's getting so into it. And he kind of goes home for the day, and he goes back the next day, can't find her, and it's months on end where he can't find this woman he felt was the most perfect model he's ever seen, of course being Tomie. Goes to a bar one night. He's frustrated. He's angry. He's mad. And he's just had it up to here, right? Things aren't going his way until this dancer comes out from the back of the bar, and it's Tomie, dressed basically like a Japanese hooker, which I didn't mind personally. I thought it was great. She comes out, does this horrible dancing, and he's taking pictures of it. And he's like, I insist, I lust, I jest, I need to take pictures of you. You make this, I love that stuff. That stuff's great, where he's trying to like beg her for being his model. And she's like, okay, I'll be your model. I love how that's done. And then basically it pans out that they're dating and they're having great times. And he's literally gone from a guy at the bottom of the world now to the top. Right now, I'm with this beautiful woman. My photography life is flourishing. This is great. He has sex with Tomie. He has a great night. Then he goes to develop the pictures. And true to the manga, the pictures of Tomie, you get these great visuals of another head growing out of Tomie's head, and all these grotesque features that he sees develop in the pictures, but you don't see in reality. And he starts freaking out. He's like, what are you? What the fuck are you? And she's like, I'm Tomie, and he strangles her to death. And that one kind of plays out where there's more than one Tomie. Really good. And then until you get to the last segment where you have a man that was, his life was ruined by Tomie, right? Her body was brought into a morgue. He was a coroner, and she kind of got off the slab and ran away and stabbed him in the eye in the process. And the man lost everything over it. He lost his job because he lost the cadaver, right? Tomie ran away, and he was like, no, she got up and ran away. And they were like, you're crazy, you're fired. He lost his wife, he lost his kids. They thought he was getting into necrophilia or something. And they're going into all of that. And then it's modern day, and he finds Tomie in the wild. And it's like, I need to get vengeance on everything you've ever done to me. Like, I need my heyday, right? And it basically ends up where he takes her, puts her in an incinerator, and burns her alive. And he's celebrating like he's won the Super Bowl. Like, yes, I got her. He's kind of, going crazy until we see the ashes, right? The ashes come out of the incinerator and they start to move. And we hear Tomie, an overview of Tomie saying, each one of these specks of ash will grow into a new me, and we'll continue to grow into new me's until we've taken over the world. And that's Tomie 101. It's the regeneration horror, right? Where we didn't do that much in the first movie. It was instead kissing someone, making them the next Tomie. And this one, you kill her, more Tomies will come back, right? They multiply and work together. Love that. I thought all that stuff was really good. It's a really short watch, about 70 minutes with credits. Has really interesting, like Lalo Schifrin-esque music in it, mixed with terrible stock music. It looks like a porn, or it looks like a taxi cab confession from like the 90s. And I mean that in the best way, because it takes you there. Like, it feels like you're in the 90s when you watch this movie. I know a lot of people don't like it, and a lot of people don't like Runanagi. I'm here to say this is my second favorite of the bunch. I loved Tomie Another Face. I think this is a really good one. Highly recommend. This one's the hardest to find. I will say, of all the ones that you can look for online, you're going to have the hardest time finding this one. And unfortunately, like I said, the DVD has been out of print for a very long time. It goes for about $150, which is fucking crazy, to be perfectly honest. But this is one that I really champion and really enjoy, because I don't know. I just think there's something about it. Like, it very much encapsulates the 1990s. And that's why I really like about it. It's cheap. It's V-Cinema. It's a sizzler. But, man, with a sizzler as hot as Runanagi and playing Tomie, and the three stories having good pacing and horror, I'm all for this. I really like Tomie Another Face. I know I'm alone in that. People probably not going to like that, but I really enjoy this one. Let's see what you'll have to say in the comments, though. Do you have plans on ever doing another short film? You should. Thank you. I appreciate that. Man, I would love to. I would trust me. Be between me, you, and the fucking chat here. I would love to tell my boss to take the job and shove it. I really would. I'm at that point in my life. I really am just not happy at the current thing I do. But at the same time, you got to be realistic and you got to be an adult and you got to make money and you got to look for other opportunities that will make your life better. So that's what I've been doing. I've been job searching. I've been job hunting while still working my job. And it's hard to work a film around that. Like when I was doing Down by the Bay, I was in a better place at a job. Like things stability, right? And this way you can go and pay more money for things, right? Because I funded that whole thing on my own, right? It is just, it wasn't just, oh, you had help here, help there. It would be nice to have help here, help there. But man, to answer your question, I would love to do another short film. It just, the timing would have to be better than it is now. If I could find stability in the job world, I would start writing a screenplay tonight if I could. I would end the stream right here and start writing a screenplay tonight. It would just be so cool. So yes, the answer is it will happen. I got to figure out this little thing called life first, man. It's a game we all play, and unfortunately, there's times where it's good, bad, ugly. Grande, you seen Missed Call Films and Pulse? Yes, I have. I've done a whole retrospective J-horror special on the one Missed Call franchise. So if you ever want to watch that episode, that was a fun one. I've never reviewed Pulse on here, but that's an awesome J-horror movie. And Cure, so many good ones, man. In the movie Bambi, we never see the hunters, or as they are mostly referred to as man. That's an interesting, I did not think of that collaboration there, but very cool one. Mark is in the house. Yo, MMCMA. Speaking of Down by the Bay, there's the man that edited it right there. Oh, the sort of make this filler superhero movie and you can have enough money. Okay. Yeah, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. More raps. The raps are always fun. Grande, I know you may not be addressing the main topic, but I do like Takashi Miike's Audition, but it's a hard watch for me. Are some movies for you hard for you to watch? Salo is like that for me. I'm sure there's hard movies, like movies that I find hard to or difficult to watch, but I don't know. None of them really come to my mind, to be perfectly honest. Ash is moving like T-1000 for me. Yeah, basically. Grande, I think you might mean Lalo Schifrin, or maybe I misheard you. Yeah, I did mean Lalo Schifrin. Lalo also composed the theme of Mission Impossible. Yeah, job gives you money. Yeah, exactly. Speaking of YouTuber movies, we've seen the Markiplier horror movie Sunday. I'm going to see Send Help tomorrow with Joe Mama, so that should be fun. So a little Sam Raimi cinema from the writers of Freddy vs. Jason. So what could possibly go wrong? Hopefully it's good. But something that is good is Tomie Another Face. I really like Tomie Another Face. I think it's a really good entry to the series. Bruna Nagy, the direction, the little musical cues, the short story element. I think I will say this, despite people that don't like it, I will counter them with this. All these movies have one thing in common other than Tomie Another Face. And I know you say, oh, well, they look better. Yeah, sure. Tomie Another Face has the best pacing of any of these movies. Like, it's the quickest, like, let's get to it. Let's fucking go. And that's because of the short story element, right? You only have so long to tell your short story. I believe each of the segments is like 21 minutes, 25 minutes, and 23 minutes. That's the three stories, and they're all kind of merged together to get a little bit over an hour, right? Somewhere around there. And I thought that was a really smart way to take it personally, but I know I'm totally, I guess in the minority there. But something else that I may be in the minority about, I don't know how people feel about this one. The next movie in the series, the next one, of course, that is theatrical, of course. Now, I will say this before I get to the third one. Tomie Another Face, there are some people that do not consider it canon. They consider it like they retcon it. And when they discuss the Tomie movies, they do not include Tomie Another Face. I don't see why not. To me, Tomie Another Face is literally the second best movie of this bunch. So I don't see why you'd keep it out. However, the next theatrical one, some people say this was technically part 2. I'm calling it part 3 because that's what it is. Tomie Replay from the year 2000, the new millennium. Brief plot synopsis. A young girl looking for her father's notes finds something written about the last experiment he worked on before he went insane. Everything looks ordinary until his name, Tomie, begins appearing throughout the notebook. Yes, Tomie Replay. Now, this for me was the first big misstep of the series, and I'll drag it up here so you guys can see which one I'm singling out right now. Tomie Replay. This was the first big misstep of the series. Now, okay, it's right off the bat, the movie looks a lot better. There's a lot more money behind it, right? It's a lot more expensive than a V Cinema, but at the same time, I think the movie takes a hit in tremendous departments, right? The director was a big problem for me with this particular movie. Tomohiro Mitsuzushi. I did not care for his direction in this, and apparently they did not either, because this man never directed or worked in film again after this. This was his one and only movie, and you could see why. There's a lot of directorial mistakes. There's a lot of atmosphere that I don't believe is captured. I think the actors do a rather poor job in their performances. I wouldn't say everyone's bad, but I don't think he got the maximum capacity out of his actors of what he could have. And I think this movie really does not work as a whole. Now, of course, it tells the story of the opening scene of this little girl that's being rushed into an emergency room, and they're rushing her in and they're saying, "We don't know what's wrong. We don't know what's wrong." They cut her open, and we see Tomie is growing inside of her. She kind of jumps out, and we cut to the credits. What we find out is that basically this little girl had a kidney transplant. She was dying, had a kidney transplant, and the kidney happened to be Tomie Kawakami's kidney. Now, of course, of every part of Tomie that is severed or taken away, a new Tomie will be born. And of course, once they put that kidney in her, it's only a matter of time before the kidneys become the whole Tomie. And she kind of grows, and she basically has to be surgically removed from this little girl. It's a shocking opening. But then we learn of everybody that was involved in this surgery, this emergency surgery, had been either driven insane, killed themselves, etc. That's kind of the story we're telling here. Everyone that was involved in that surgery was, mysteriously vanished or went insane. And the main name that, of course, was driven insane or driven away was our lead character's father. She's trying to kind of reconnect with him, and he's being very weird and standoffish, and she can't figure out what's going on, and the whole movie is her trying to diagnose this mystery, while meantime Tomie has escaped the hospital, right? The little kidney that could and grew into a Tomie, she gets rescued in the hospital by this guy, and she kind of goes home with him and starts manipulating him until she's brutally murdered, and then of course becomes the vengeful Tomie that comes back from the grave. And the movie kind of plays out through there until we all lead up to a finale in the hospital. This one is weak for me. I don't like everything about it. The writing is not really compelling. The woman playing Tomie, I thought, did such a poor job in this. I think she was one of the weakest Tomies. Mei Hosho is her name, who plays Tomie in this. Just to me, coming off Miho Kano, who brought the intensity and the electricity and the schoolgirl element, but then at the same time, when it had to be serious, it was scary and creepy and unnerving. Whereas Runanagi, I can't do that. Runanagi was a fucking model, right? Runanagi wasn't really an actress, didn't act in too much. In fact, did some J horror fucking neo horror movie, I believe, like 2006 or so. And I have seen that, and I remember her being in it, but I was like, oh my God, she's telling me great stuff. Runanagi took a step back, like, okay, I can't do that intensity, so I'll play the sweet, I'll lure you in type of Tomie, and I liked that. Mei Hosho stinks. Like, I think she's one of the weakest. Pretty lady, totally pretty lady, looks the part. But that's about it. The fake laugh was horrible. It's so forced and phony. The scenes where she's trying to be intimidating and trying to give a big monologue of what you think or what you should feel, it's just so flat, and you can't really get into the character whatsoever. And the movie itself, I think, goes at a very brisk, slow pace, but for the worse. Like, I think like each Tomie movie by this point felt like it was building, like, okay, the first movie, world build, make this character, establish this character. Okay, the second movie, we got this character in 3 different short story situations, right? One where she's working together, one where she's making someone fall in love, one where she's ruining a man's life. I like that stuff. It feels like we're building to a destination that in this movie we take a step down from. There's nothing really to behold in this movie. There's nothing going on. I feel like it's one of the weaker Tomie movies, despite its budget, despite being theatrical. It just missed something for me. I didn't really care for this one. And the whole kind of thing that they do is, Tomie is trying to get this girl into the hospital because she didn't like the father. And, oh, your father said all these weird things to me, blah, blah, blah. I guess she's trying to shit on the human race, I guess. Like, that's Tomie's whole thing, where she hates humans, and feels that our love for each other is weak and petty, and that humans are all pathetic creatures. We get this whole kind of blah blah blah, I am villain, hear me roar, and I just hated that. I was like, oh man, like, to me, you missed the boat on what could have been a really good third movie, and now you got the money to do a better movie. And to me, this just feels like everything just took a step down. I really do not like Tomie Replay at all. I will say there's body horror in it, and for Junji Ito loyalists, they're going to want to see that. I mean, the first movie doesn't really have much body horror. Second movie, they didn't have the budget. We'll be honest. I mean, as a V cinema, you don't have budget to do body horror in a movie like that. So this one, there is a little body horror in it. It misses the boat. It doesn't really work. I don't know. For me, it just completely. I felt this was a complete fucking misfire on all cylinders. I do not like Tomie Replay. I could give it some kind of merit for things here and there, right? I think the lead actress is okay, although it seems like she's sleepwalking a bit. There's some interesting sequences where she confronts one of the doctors, and he's like, "Oh, the surgery was terrible, blah blah blah." And he goes, "Here, take my notepad." She takes his notepad. He goes up to the top floor, and she's walking out with the notepad, reading it, and he jumps off to his death because of Tomie. Like that was a well done sequence, but to me, it's too few moments of good in a movie that's otherwise a slog and didn't really work overall. Tomie Replay, it's barely going to get the pass. I don't think it's an F, but I think it's a D. Like, to me, Tomie Replay is a weaker entry of the series, and a big misfire, because I think this was a pivotal movie in as far as gaining and garnering interest. And this was a big swing and a miss. Like, I don't not think this movie worked whatsoever. Weak Tomie, a weak director that never worked again, weak script, really bad pacing. It has moments here and there, some visuals here and there, has moments, but it's just a flash in the pan. Not one I like. A D tier Tomie movie for me. Where the heck were we? I really want to go see that. Hopefully we get some good Raimiisms back in the cinema. Let's hope so. More raps. Grande, do you watch a movie every day, or do you try to do a certain quota of films, watch in a week or a month? I have a resolution this year to watch 365 films this day. I can miss a day if I have to. Okay. I mean, I generally, for the show, I mean, for Monday through Wednesday, I watch for the show. Like, that's all I'll do. But for episode like this, where you have to watch 9 movies, you have to start basically the day after you end the last graveyard. So I started this adventure on Friday night of last week and watched all 9 Tomies by Monday. So it was a 4-day extravaganza of Tomie cinema. And then I would rewatch over Tuesday and Wednesday. I wanted to rewatch certain ones to see how much I could get out of them. That's at least how I do it for the show. Let's see. Also, Grande, do you read books on cinema? Not much. I mean, there's things I have read on cinema, but not all that much. What's up, Graveyard? Ghostface Brett's in the house. I think sometimes a low budget film can be sort of saved by the story, and I think that's why Tomie Another Face works. It's completely story driven. There's nothing else because they didn't have the money for anything else, so they had to make these stories really good, and I thought they did. People saying hi to one another. Tomie Replay was the first big misstep of the series. However, we rebound in a big way with the movie that comes next, Tomie Part 4 from the year 2001. I'm talking about this one right here, Tomie Rebirth, from director Takashi Shimizu. Brief plot synopsis. An art student disappears after murdering his model. Now his friends and family are being haunted by the resurrected woman known as Tomie. Yes, Tomie Rebirth. This is a big step right back up. Like, I really like this one and would be in my top 3 of the series. A very big rebound coming off of a rather lackluster movie. And the biggest reason for that is you upgraded directors, right? You went from a guy that, listen, for whatever reason, it didn't work out. Maybe film wasn't for him. I don't know. It was a good attempt, but didn't really capture anything that, to me, was good in the first 2 movies. Whereas this one, you bring in a guy like Shimizu, who was coming up around the pike, like I said, with the V cinemas of the years before this and The Curse, and of course the Ju-on the Grudge the following year, and then movies like Maribito, Reincarnation. He remade The Grudge 1 and 2 in America. All these movies that Takashi Shimizu was a part of. A guy that's still working in the business, still doing horror. Big fan of the guy, always have, always will be. I love the way he directs horror. And to me, to get him to do a Tomie film was very exciting as a fan of film. And he doesn't disappoint. The horror in Tomie Rebirth is the best of all the movies. I will say, as a horror movie, if you're just looking to watch a good horror movie, this is the one of all the Tomie movies to watch. I still like the first film better because I think the first film is the most well-rounded and has the best performance of Tomie, I think. And it is a great world build monster movie, great cinematography, just the whole 9 yards. Tomie, Another Face, I like a little bit better just because of the pacing and the entertainment value, Runanagi. This one, though, for a straight-up horror film fan, this is the one to go out of your way to watch. I mean, it's really, really well done. And the movie, again, great opening. A young couple, right? Tomie's being painted in the chair. She's all kind of popped up and suave, and he's painting her with a big shit-eating grin on his face. And she walks over to see his masterpiece, right? And she tears it apart. This is terrible. And she kind of swats the, painting and cuts it up and throws ink blots on it, destroys the whole painting that he has just done of her. And he responds like any normal human being would. He basically fucking murders her brutally. It's something we'd all do, right? You son of a bitch, you ruined my damn painting. I worked so hard on it for you, you bitch. Kills this woman in cold blood. Stabs the shit out of Tomie. And then goes, holy shit, what the fuck do I do? How do I get rid of the body? So he calls his buddies on the phone. Hey, got a problem here. Remember that hot girl I was dating? Yeah, I cut her to pieces. Yeah, I painted her. She shit on it, and I cut her in half. Okay, we'll be right there. So the three of these idiots get her body and bury her in the woods. They kind of leave. They're fucking all right, whatever. And hopefully nobody finds out about this. And they go into a nightclub and they're having a good time or whatever. Everybody's laughing like fuck, having a good time, drinking, partying. Who walks in? But Tomie Kawakami, the girl of your dreams. She walks in, and all of a sudden, everybody in this fucking nightclub, Tomie, every man, every woman, every person in this nightclub immediately is drawn to her. And of course, the Tomie actress this is Miki Sakai, who does a great job. Like a huge, again, rebound from the previous Tomie. She has a great personality and a great switch between the timid, high-pitched voice and then the cold, calculated Tomie that I love how she delivers in this. And she does it in a snap of a finger. I loved her delivery in this. And what do I mean by that? She walks in this club. Everybody's like lusting over her. Her main focus is Mr. Painter that stabbed her to death. She sits right down next to him. And he all of a sudden plays it off like he's not afraid. Like he didn't just stab the shit out of this woman a few days ago. He goes, everybody, you get your fucking eyes off of her. You stay back. Tomie Kawakami is mine. And he kind of lays down the law. And she does this great thing. She whispers in his ear. She goes, when did I become yours? Like this arousing her. And then she says right at the end, she goes, when did I become yours? Murderer. And I love how she looks at him like, I know what you did. This is the I know what you did last summer Tomie movie. Like, I know you killed me, you son of a bitch. Now you're going to pretend that you love me, blah, 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 miss me. Loved her delivery of that. I burst out laughing. I was like, yes. I was like, let's fucking go. I got so into it. And then, of course, very quickly, he's disposed of. He's very quick revenge there. And then the rest of the movie plays out between the other two friends that help bury the body. We follow two different stories as Tomie is impacting these two people's lives and gaining her revenge slowly but surely, right? The person that murdered her in the beginning quickly gets the revenge on him, mutilated in a bathroom. But these other two, she kind of milks them dry. And I love the horror in that. And to me, no better guy to get than Takashi Shimizu in order to convey and tell those stories of horror. One side of the story, you have one of the guys that helps bury Tomie, and he kind of fancies her. Hey, you know what I did was wrong. You're so beautiful. Can I buy you things? So he starts from small, buying her things. Then he's really going all out to make her life lavish and lush. And he's trying to really, really, win her over and have her be his everything. Until Tomie meets his mom. And the mom doesn't like Tomie. And spoiler alert, Tomie doesn't like the mom. And we have this amazing bitch off between Tomie and this guy's mom and do not like each other. And Tomie is just burying this lady. Oh, hey, your wrinkles are pretty bad. Have you ever thought about getting Botox? Like, holy, like you crack up laughing at the zingers that Tomie has for this fucking woman. And this woman's like, you fucking bitch. And it becomes to the point where the mom is trying to talk the son out of it, but because of Tomie's irresistible enchantment, he can't be talked out of it. So she decides, hey, I know what I'll do. I'll fucking kill her. So what she does is there's a point where the son and Tomie, they're watching TV, and she goes, Tomie, I made you some coffee. And you see she puts a giant thing of fucking poison in it. And she brings the fucking coffee over to Tomie. Tomie, I don't drink coffee, miss. Why don't you have it? And she's like, no, I insist. So she eventually gets Tomie to drink the fucking poison. And Tomie downs it, looks at her, and is like, did you put milk in there? I love that. That was great. And then you get one of the craziest scenes in any of these movies for me. Is Tomie and this guy, she's sleeping over, and basically the mom and Tomie encounter in the middle of the night, and the boyfriend hears Tomie talking down on the mom. The boyfriend whacks Tomie over the head, and they start cutting her up in the bathroom together, mother and son, cutting up Tomie and Kawakami in the bathroom. And they're going back and forth with some of the funniest dialogue you will ever hear in a movie. He says, hey, mom, remember when we used to do arts and crafts when I was a little kid? This is sort of like that. For I was literally howling laughing at it. Like, what a sick, dark horror psychology to have a mother and son cutting up a body in the bathroom, and they're reminiscing about arts and crafts class from when he was in second grade. Amazing. And then they're walking outside with the body parts and all these garbage bags, and he's like, hey, Ma, after this, would you want to go for a hot spring? It's been a while since I had a hot spring. Like, the dark humor was great. The writing was so on point. And what's funny is this was from the writer of Sadako 3D, which is a terrible fucking schlocky Ring movie. But I thought the writing here was so spot on for Tomie. It was great. And then eventually they get rid of the body. The body parts start to move in the bag. The mom kind of starts to talk shit. I'll get rid of you. She puts her in an incinerator. Never a good idea. Never burn Tomie alive in the movies. In the manga, that's a different story. But in the movies, don't do it because she puts her in the incinerator, kind of watches her burn, and then you see this steam hit the mother's face, and she slowly but surely dies from the, I guess, the vapor of Tomie Kawakami. Loved that stuff. That very Ju-on-esque, the funeral elements. Great stuff. And then the other side of the story, right? The other story that's playing parallel is the other guy that, helped him bury the body. And his girlfriend is jealous of Tomie because they encounter, and she takes Tomie's lipstick. She puts it on because she's trying to impress him like Tomie did. And she's like, listen, Tomie is not the one for you. I'm the one for you. Like, don't cheat on me. Don't do anything. And he's like, listen, I'm not interested. Like, please stop thinking that. And it's through her attempts at being Tomie that she ultimately starts to become her. And that's the other story where he's trying to convince her, no, I don't want you to do this. And there's a really fun finale where Tomie, I'm sick of telling my story. I love that they do that too, where Tomie, I'm sick of the backstory. I'm sick of telling you my tale. I'm just here to kill you now. And of course, as she's spieling, his girlfriend looks at him and she's turning into a Tomie too. And it's this whole, please don't do it. Don't remember who you are. I love you. Very, mellow, whatever. But I loved it. I thought all that stuff was good. The horror was good here. The acting was incredible. Really good Tomie, a really good pacing overall. It is slow at points, but I think overall the horror in it really carries the movie. Shimizu 101. Like, to me, when you watch Takashi Shimizu cinema, you're watching the Takashi Shimizu cinema. I don't know how else to explain it other than that. And I mean that in the best of ways. This is one of the better Tomie movies for me, one of the better ones for sure. And I would come in at a strong A. Like, I think this is one of the better ones for sure. I know some people say this is the best of the series. I would have a hard time arguing that with them. I do have two above it, but I would say this is definitely in the top three and one that you would go out of your way to watch if you love horror movies. I think this is one that's definitely to be watched. It's a really, really good one. Let's see. Where were we? Makes me think of the Japanese film Blind Beast, of a blind sculptor and his mother kidnap a model, and the model tries to make her way out of his place, but the mother and the model's relationship is really interesting. Really good film. Ending has a great twist. It's on Arrow. Well, we gotta love Arrow. That does sound pretty cool. I guess Tomie always gets her way in the end. That's the beauty of Tomie. She's forever. Like, no matter what you do, you kill her, she'll come back and get you. You can kill her, she'll come back, get somebody else to kill you. It's always the same setup, but then it's how does she execute the revenge? And that's always the fun part of it. And Shimizu is a guy that, holy shit, it was such a good move to get him at the helm. Now, I will say, their biggest mistake was not keeping Shimizu on for the next movie. I think if you kept Shimizu on for the next movie, it would have been a big, big difference. However, that's not to say that the next movie is not beloved, because of all the Tomie movies, whether you look on IMDb, Letterboxd, whatever you watch or judge your films on before you go into seeing them, if you are one of those people, the next Tomie Part 5, is considered the best of the bunch. It is the highest rated Tomie movie, and I have heard several people say that it's by far their favorite. I like this movie, don't get me wrong. I do have a lot of issues with this movie. However, it's a solid one, just not my favorite. This is Tomie Part 5. This is Tomie Forbidden Fruit, aka Tomie the Final Chapter Forbidden Fruit, which of course I know sounds crazy. Hey, the final chapter? How could this be the final chapter? It's always, well, it's a horror cliche in of itself, right? Was the Friday 13th Part 4 really the final Friday 13th? Was the final Friday really the final Friday? Was Saw the final chapter really the final chapter? It never is the final chapter. This is a long list of movies that kind of fall into that boat. Tomie the Final Chapter Forbidden Fruit, aka Part 5, is another movie that will fall under that same umbrella, right? This is the final chapter, but not really. I will say this, it is the final chapter in the ones that I consider the original, like the first 5, they all kind of have a similar feel, atmosphere, and tone. And I think this is the last one that feels like that. Like the rest of them are all kind of off in their own world, whereas this is the last one that truly feels like a Tomie movie to me. And it's infamous for a lot of reasons, but let's get to the brief plot synopsis, if you will. Brief plot synopsis, and here we are. Tomie terrorized an artistically inclined young girl and her widowed father, slowly integrating herself into the family. This is directed by Shun Nakahara, who's made some good movies too. My main issue with this movie, while I don't think it's bad, is that this is the one that's the least horror out of any of them. There's not much of a horror element in Tomie Forbidden Fruit. Instead, what we get is a very good melodrama starring Tomie Kawakami. And now I've been one to say this over the years. Sometimes the horror is not overt, and that's not sexy for people, and thus it drives them away. And I've been a victim of, hey, I think there are movies where it's not overt horror where I really love them. And then there are instances like this where it's so much like a melodrama that it really doesn't feel like it belongs in the horror umbrella. That's kind of where I am with this. However, that's not to say that it's not good in and of its own merit. It's just a different type of movie. And especially coming off the one that to me felt the most horror, you come off one that kind of feels like a Saturday afternoon soap opera starring Your Girl, Your Dreams, Tomie Kawakami. The story opens where we are introduced to Tomie, but not the Tomie you're thinking of. It is a nerdy Tomie. This is a girl that actually shares the same name, not actually the villainous character. And she is this button-down, glasses-wearing girl, ugly duckling type, bullied at school, called names, picked on, and teased. And she's had it up to here, and she fantasizes in her everyday drawings and short stories, writing these teen fan fictions of being a vampire and succubus and all these things. And she dreams to all these epic ultimate things, right? She dreams to be something that she's not. And who else would she meet but Tomie Kawakami, the exact inverse, right? The girl that would never be teased, the girl that's the most beautiful girl in the world, the girl that, is lusted for by everybody, the girl that's oh so desirable, right? Makes you oh so jealous. Here's a girl that's the exact opposite with the same name. A great play on words, and I think great writing. I think that's a great setup for a Tomie movie. And where it turns on its head, the melodrama element of it is, Tomie, the good Tomie, her mother is not in the picture anymore. She's passed away, sadly. And actually, no, she has passed away, sadly. And the father character is really sad over this. Oh, mom has been gone, blah, 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 blah. And she kind of integrates herself into his life. And we learn that in a year, years and years down the road, 20 years ago or so, Tomie and this man dated when he was of her age. And now she kind of comes back into his life saying, remember me, it's me, Tomie. I'm not her daughter, I'm Tomie. And we watch as Tomie seduces not just the father, but the good Tomie, the daughter too. She seduces both of them in this bizarre, weird love triangle where Tomie is basically having a lesbian affair with one girl, a affair on the father who is way older than her, and it's this whole weird love triangle that is a forbidden fruit, right? And Tomie goes around with this girl, and they're talking and falling in love and things like that. And there's a great scene where she says, hey, taste this, it's the greatest thing in the world. And she tastes a pomegranate. And there's very romantic scenes between the two of them where one says to the other, everything about you, your fingers, your hair, your smile, your laugh. Like, that's what I love you. Basically saying, professing her love. And then, of course, on the other side, seducing the father. I want you back into shape. I want you to. Really fucking weird setup. And the first 40 minutes of this is great. Like, I was like on the edge of my seat, like, this is going to be the best Tomie movie. I was wholeheartedly going to be in agreement with the people, thinking this was the best one. And unfortunately, after the first 40 minutes, it sort of loses its way. Like, I hate to say it, but I thought it was a mess after that. Basically, what happens is Tomie eventually pisses off somebody and she gets decapitated, and the movie becomes basket case for a while. Basically, the good Tomie is taking around Tomie in a basket case, and Tomie, oh, rob a bank, get me caviar, get me this, get me that. There's some body horror of her regenerating, regrowing back right from the head stem to being back into a Tomie. There's that whole element of it, and it really just feels like the movie goes off the rails there. And then the father character, he's just kind of lost his mind, and it just doesn't really seem like it has a much of a direction after the first 40 minutes. It feels like it kind of fell apart. Now, I don't know why that is. I don't know if that was more of a writing situation. I don't know if the director wanted to go one route and then switch gears halfway through. I can't really tell, to be perfectly honest, because it's just so all over the place once you get to that 40-minute mark. It just kind of becomes a different movie until it keeps reinventing itself until it basically ends. Tomie at one point ends up in a block of ice because that's the father's occupation. Their idea is, let's freeze her, and she can't kill us, she can't get us. And then, of course, that lasts a whole 2 seconds. Like, I thought that would have been a good way to end it. Like, we leave Tomie in the ice. That would have been a classic. We left the villain in the ice for the movie. We'll wait till the ice thaws for the next movie. Something, you know, Frankenstein-esque, like Son of Frankenstein. I don't know, something like that I think would have been better than what they do here. Instead, she's broken out of the ice immediately. This is the only Tomie film, to my knowledge, that no one dies in. There's no death scene in the movie. There's no real violence in the movie. There's some body horror. There's some humor, but it's very much a melodrama with Tomie playing the weird third wheel in a love triangle where she's basically taking the role of the mother. The actress that plays Tomie in this is good. Nozomi Ando, she's good, but I would say more towards the middle of Tomie actresses. Like, I would say she's one of the least attractive of all the Tomie's actresses wise, but she is good as an actress. Like, she got the whole tonal shifts and the innocence and then the anger. I felt she was more serious and deadpan, some more those than some of the other ones. She didn't use the charm enough for me. That to me is synonymous with Tomie. It's a weird one. It's as a melodrama, it's probably like a B. But as a Tomie movie, I'm more like the C plus. Oh, man, I don't know. I'm so close. Like a B minus, C plus. I'm gonna go with a B minus for Tomie Forbidden Fruit. It has moments. It definitely is the last Tomie movie that kind of feels like those original ones, and in a way that makes it the final chapter, despite having 4 more movies precede it. But to me, it is a little too melodramatic overall. It has moments. It's good. It's solid. It's better than Tomie 3, but I would say at the same time, it's the weakest of after that, like weakest of the first of the 3 movies we've talked about and put above it. A middle of the road one for me. Very middle of the road for me. I don't know. Just definitely one that I was more mixed on than probably most. I think some people will like the melodrama and the soap opera elements and the whole, especially it's a film that very much is focusing on, a relationship of a gay character, right? The lead character of Tomie, the good Tomie, is gay for the Tomie that we all know and love. So that was an interesting way to put it. I just wish we would have stuck more with one tone. Like, keep telling the story that you're telling. Maybe that it draws the father or daughter against one another over Tomie. I think that would have been more the direction I went with it, to the ultimate burning point of, okay, father versus daughter, who will kill who over Tomie, or can they come to their senses and realize that this is one evil bitch? That's more where I would have went with it, but instead they kind of just, there's no arc. Like, and the movie ends where they're both still alive, they're both still with Tomie, and you get the idea that they're both going to die. But you never see it. There's no payoff. And that to me was like, kind of, you had something good here. Why didn't you pay it off? So I don't know. For me, first 40 minutes, like an A. After that, movie kind of crumbles. B minus, C plus era. I'm going to go with the B plus for now, though. B minus. So B minus for Tomie Forbidden Fruit. One that I find middle of the road. Moving on, though, to 3 years later, right? This was supposed to be the last Tomie movie. It was Tomie Forbidden Fruit, the final chapter, if you will. We know it never is. But we had not seen Tomie since the year 2002. It was a 3-year hiatus until we had 2 Tomie movies shot back to back that were direct to video, direct to DVD, if you will, in the year 2005. And they, of course, saw the return of the director from the original, Ataru Okawa. And this was, of course, his film from 2005. I'm talking about this movie right here. I'm talking about Tomie Beginning. Yes, Tomie Beginning from 2005. Brief plot synopsis. When a beautiful young girl transfers to a new high school, the students become possessed and soon realize that behind this beauty is an unexplainable evil. Yes, Tomie Beginning. This one, I kind of think made the right call. And I know this one is hated by most. I would say this is like the next best one. I would say this is like my number 4 of the series. I actually kind of like this one a lot because we get to the point after Tomie 5 where I sort of was asking myself the question, how much can you do with this concept, right? How many directions, how many stories can we tell with this character until it gets to the point of burnout, until it gets to the point of, okay, we're turning our wheels here. What do we do? And just like last week when I said, sometimes the way to get it back, where Argento did, is to go back to the beginning. And that's what they do here. They said, fuck it, let's work it back. Let's tell the story of the very original Japanese manga story of Tomie, and we'll make a film adaptation of it. And of course, the director from the original is brought back. We're going back to the beginning, everything. We got the original director. We're telling the original story. We're going to make it a prequel to the first Tomie movie, trying to make it connect. They wanted to work it backwards again and get back to basics. And I appreciate that mentality coming off the Forbidden Fruit, because I don't think there was anywhere to go after that. I really think the best thing to do was to go back to the beginning, and I think that was a wise move by the producers involved. Now, of course, longtime Tomie producer of the first 4 movies, he's not involved by this point, and this is completely a direct-to-video, shot back-to-back project of course, this director doing Tomie Beginning and Tomie Part 6, which is, Tomie Part 7, Tomie Revenge. So that's just to keep, if you're keeping score at home here. Tomie the Beginning is a lot better. Tomie the Beginning tells the story of the original class that Tomie Kawakami was a part of, right? And she introduces herself and everybody's in love with her and lusting over her, and she meets her friend. She starts to make a friend, and all of a sudden it's finally a time in Tomie's life where, you know, somebody wants to be her by their own free will. And I think that's the story that this movie's trying to tell a lot, is that Tomie is upset that everyone's attracted to her just because of how she looks. I think Tomie wants to be accepted for who she is as a person. And that's kind of the story they're telling here more. They're going for a more sympathetic look at the character. And by the time you get to 6 movies, that's what you should totally do. That's totally what you should do, man. Like, I totally think, that was a good direction to take it. Something a little bit different. Now, we still get the evil Tomie that we all know and love. There's a scene where she's force-feeding girls bugs and manipulating all the men. And we watch as Tomie basically goes through this class, treating them all terribly, except the one girl that she finds friends with. And the whole movie is basically about, can their friendship sustain and long enough to keep these people safe, or is it going to break at some point and all these people are going to die? And it's the latter. Now, of course, the original Tomie manga story was Tomie was having an affair with the teacher, and Tomie came to him, confronted him on a school trip and said, if you don't tell your wife tonight that you've been having sex with me, I'll tell her myself, and I'll tell them that I'm pregnant and all this stuff. And she goes off on him. He basically throws her off a cliff and has the class cut her up into pieces as a biology class. Oh, hey, look, this is Tomie's intestines, and they're kind of cutting her up and having a grand old fucking time. That's kind of the story they're telling here, although they keep the teacher relationship out of it. It's just somebody pushes Tomie off the edge and they're cutting her up alive and she's screaming for help and they're kind of dissecting her and stuff like that. Love that element of it. It was really horrific to see her call for help and ask and beg and plead as they're cutting this girl apart and laughing like fuck as they're doing it. Until you get to the best part of this movie where, just like the manga, they've cut her up, they've cut her into pieces, they've disposed of her body, they've moved on with their lives, and it's everyday class like homeroom now. It's like Tomie ain't never happened. She never existed, right? Fucking, they're all sitting there in class, and who walks in the front door but Tomie Kawakami? And hey, good morning, guys, acting like nothing happened at all, totally playing it off. And the way they pan the camera to all the people looking, and they just all go ape shit. Like people flipping over their desks, jumping out the window, screaming, holding each other. Like that is to me, Tomie, one of the best scenes in any of these movies is the reaction of the class, like their horror of seeing a woman that they dissected and cut apart and bonded over, only to show up the next day like nothing fucking happened. And the teacher hiding under his desk. Like I had a great laugh at that. That to me is why I love Tomie Kawakami. Like you don't come in, you don't just scream and holler and yell. And if you have enough power, you can walk in with a smile ear to ear and everybody will go ape shit and hide under their desk. That's Tomie Kawakami. Like that's this character. And I was like, okay, we are back to the basics. That scene gave me hope for the movies that were to come. I like this one overall for a direct-to-video movie that was shot back to back. And I'm no stranger to liking movies like that. Like the Sleepaway Camp sequels were shot back to back, or hated, or low budget. Nobody really likes them that much. Whereas I'm a big proponent of them. So I really like Tomie in the beginning, and I like how it kind of sets up for the next movie, which technically is the original film. He made a prequel to his own film. I like that. I think it was good. I don't know. For me, really good one. The actress playing Tomie, Ryo Matsumoto, is gorgeous. I would say maybe the second or third best looking Tomie. And again, I think she does a really good job in the role. Like I thought, no Mio Kano, but at the same time, I thought she was very solid in the role. Like I was like, okay, definitely something to build upon here as one of the better Tomies of these movies. And I really liked her. I really like this movie. To me, I think it's a solid, man, where would we rank this one? This one is tough. I'm going to go like a strong B+. I think this one's better than Tomie Forbidden Fruit, which I know is going to get me a lot of shit because Tomie Forbidden Fruit had a lot more money and passion behind it, I guess. But Tomie Beginning I like. It's a direct-to-video movie that I would put on and enjoy. And it's, again, another really quick one, like an hour and 14 minutes. So really quick watch. It almost feels like they approached this director and said, hey, we got enough money for one movie. And he said, fuck it, I'd rather do two movies for the budget of one. And that's what they did. They kind of split them up. And so much so they released these a week apart. This comes direct to DVD in April of 2005, April the 9th. The next movie comes out, Tomie the Revenge, came out the following week. It was April the 16th of 2005. So they came out a week apart on direct-to-video market. So, it would have been a 3-year hiatus of Tomie. And of course, we get two Tomie movies in back-to-back weeks, shot back-to-back by the same director from the original. Tomie the Beginning is good. Definitely one where I say the glass is half full overall. And I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that. However, we get to the next movie. We get to part 7, if you will. And this was, again, the second of two movies shot back to back from the same director as the first movie, Mr. Okawa. This is Tomie Revenge. A young woman named Kazu runs over a naked girl on a mountain road. When she stops to help, the girl runs off into an old abandoned house in the middle of the woods. This is amongst the worst Tomie movies for me. I'm going to say it's probably my second least favorite, but it is definitely in the consideration for the worst of the Tomie movies. This is a really bad one. And it's also the lowest rated for what it's worth. So if you don't believe me, it's very fucking poorly rated. This one, it really doesn't feel like they had enough for a movie here to me. And they really, you could tell that most of whatever money that they had, which I'm sure was a little amount of money, went into Beginning. Whereas this one feels like we'll just do what we can with the leftovers. This feels like Tomie leftovers. And for one that has the revenge title in it, there's no real revenge in this movie. There's no real plot to this movie. This is an hour-long, what feels like a haunted mansion simulator with Tomie Kawakami as the villain. And I just didn't think it worked. We watched this woman driving along a mountain road. She accidentally runs over somebody that is Tomie. And then we watch her confess to this doctor. This doctor has all these kind of visions and fantasies of Tomie. We go to this mansion where Tomie has all these men kind of hiding behind curtains and things like that. It has potential to be good, and it has an atmosphere. I'll say that's the one thing I can give it. It has an atmosphere to it. Like, it definitely feels creepy, but it doesn't deliver on anything else. The actress playing Tomie is one of the weakest. I would say this is the weakest of the Tomie actresses. Henri Bond, again, pretty lady, didn't do it for me as the character. Just didn't get any of the acting element of it down. The psychology, the mannerisms, didn't get it. Like, she was totally the weakest of the Tomie actresses. And to me, sometimes, even a bad Tomie movie could be saved by a good Tomie actress. This wasn't one of them times. This was the opposite. This was a bad Tomie movie drugged down even further by a bad Tomie actress. And I was like, oh man, like, this lady just did not bring any enthusiasm or oomph. And it's funny because Okawa worked with Mio Kano, who's great as Tomie, and then Mio Natsumura. I mean, both of them did a really, really good job, I thought, as Tomie, whereas this girl, Henri Bond, just didn't at all. I thought she was the worst Tomie. It's so funny. He worked with two of the best, and then, of course, the worst for me, Tomie actress. Again, has its moments. It is what it is. It's just really, there's not much to talk about with Tomie Revenge. It's the one with the least going on. There's no real plot. It's just kind of an hour slog to get through, and there's really nothing to say, no body horror to run home about, no real scares. It just has some tension, some atmosphere, and that's really the only positives I can give it. This is a letdown for me, one of the weakest ones. And unfortunately, man, Tomie Revenge, not The Revenge, Part 7, it's going to stay in the F column. This is our first absolute failure of the Tomie franchise, in my humble opinion. One that I just don't get into all that much. I just don't like this movie. It's kind of one of the weaker ones. But I've skipped comments for a little bit. Let's see where we were. Maybe the studio made the decisions. Maybe they did what they did. What if we put this in the movie, or that kind of movie kind of stuff? Okay, hit the like button. Thank you so much. Grande, how did these Tomie films do in Japan? Well, these two in particular were direct-to-video markets. So the DVD sales are something that I don't have access to. But, I mean, as far as how they sold, I'm sure they sold enough because, I mean, you made two more Tomie movies after this. And, granted, while 2011, I believe the next two also went direct to video. I don't think either one of the next two played theatrically. The Forbidden Fruit final chapter was the last one that played theatrically. As far as I know, that wasn't limited, right? Some of these might have played limitedly, but they did not play very long. You could tell these are cheaper films. Tomie is my favorite film of all time. How dare you? I mean, you didn't like this one with the title now. Revenge was painfully boring to me. It's one of the weakest ones, for sure. It's, to me, in an otherwise pretty solid franchise, it's definitely one of the worst. It's this and another one we're going to talk about. It's terrible watching movies that are short and drag. And that's what this is. Like, you could easily fall asleep watching this, and it's only an hour long. It's actually, like, insane how dull this movie is. With it being on Tubi, it was more than an hour with ads. Oh, well, yeah, there you go. Painfully boring. Yeah, no, painfully boring. Yeah, it's bad. It's definitely one of the weaker Tomie movies for sure. It's a big step down from beginning, which I think had potential to kind of start the series over again if they wanted to. And then instead, this feels like a bad dream. This feels like a movie that's more of a bad dream than an actual Tomie entry. But it does exist, and unfortunately is our first big failure of the series. But now we move on to the one that I do consider to be the worst of the Tomie movies. This came out, of course, 2 years after. Maybe it did play theatrically. I couldn't find much info on this one. And I will say, subtitle-wise, this was one of the worst subtitle transfers I've ever seen for any movie ever. It was bizarre. And that didn't help an otherwise terrible movie in and of its own right. This is Tomie versus Tomie. Yes, you thought Freddy versus Jason was crazy. You thought Sadako versus Kayako was crazy. Give me Tomie versus Tomie from the year 2007. Brief plot synopsis. A young, depressed man is trying to move on with his life after his girlfriend's bizarre death. One day, a mysterious woman notices him at work and convinces his coworkers to introduce him to her. She is known as Tomie. Yes, Tomie versus Tomie. Now, this is my thing. I truly think you get to a point in a series as long as this, right? You look at, and something that's definitely comparable, right, is the Friday the 13th movies. Friday the 13th, over 13 years, had 9 movies. Tomie is the same situation. Over 13 years, 1998 all the way till 2011, had 9 movies. It's the same amount of time, same amount of movies, right? There eventually becomes a point where you ask yourself the question I asked before of, when do you run out of material? When is this being milked dry? How much can we get out of this same concept? And there's also a time where you go, what the fuck do we do do we just make it schlock? Do we just make it fun at this point? Because obviously we're not able to tell compelling, serious stories anymore. Are we running out of gas? And Tomie and the Revenge feels like that point of the series. I like the tone. I like that it's serious. I like that it's trying to be dark and atmospheric, but it fails miserably. It's a bad, poorly made horror film. It's just not good. And anyway, I think the studio said, what if we turn that on its head? What if we move away from the serious tone? What if we make a movie like Freddy versus Jason? And because Tomie has not been drawing in a long time, who else would we get for Tomie's opponent but herself? Tomie versus Tomie. One Tomie versus another. Interesting idea. Another interesting idea on this. Tomie meets the one man that can resist her. And that's the whole story that overarches the film. Tomie meets this guy at his job at like a meat packing plant, or I guess some kind of factory. I don't know exactly what it is. She meets him and tries to put her charm on him, and he resists her. He's, I'm good. Get the fuck away from me. And it's the first time where Tomie is rejected, and she's like, how can I be rejected, right? She has this undeniable, desirability about her, and now she's undesirable to somebody. So her mentality looks at it as a challenge. I have to seduce him. I have to win him over. He's got to be the one that I win over, and that's the whole story they're telling here. And the reason that he's not attracted to her is because his girlfriend previously had died a horrible, tragic death. She was murdered. And he's just distraught and going through the grief process and really trying to move on with his life. But he really loved this girl. And anytime somebody shows him affection, all he sees is the ghost of his dead girlfriend, right? Cut up and brutalized and victimized. Oh, please, you can't move on from me, stuff like that. And he can't get over her death, thus is passing up on Tomie Kawakami, the girl of everyone's dreams. And Tomie in this one is played by two different actresses, one way more than the other. Yu Abiru is playing the main Tomie that we see throughout the movie. She's got to be second or third most attractive, and definitely the Tomie with the biggest yitties. Holy shit, what a beautiful lady, Yu Abiru. I mean, you'll fall in love with this Tomie. It will take no time. She's great. I'll say that. She's really good actress, very easy on the eyes, and can get you through this movie. However, despite the interesting concepts, despite all of that, this movie fucking sucks, and it's the worst of the Tomie movies because this one truly feels like an episode of One Tree Hill if it was with Tomie Kawakami. And I mean that in the worst way. The look of it is fucking terrible. The writing is fucking terrible. It is a bad melodrama. Whereas Forbidden Fruit, good melodrama for 40 minutes. This is a bad 90-minute melodrama between Tomie, this guy that's not interested in her, and another fucking Tomie that we barely see throughout the movie. Now, I feel like the producers wanted a schlock fest. Let's have Tomie and Tomie cutting promos at each other, fighting like cats and shit, and men watching it or shit, and men trying to kill one Tomie for the other. That would have been way better to do. Like, I think that would have been a way better way to go with it. Have fun with it. Like, take that concept and go balls to the wall with it. And they didn't do that. Instead, it feels like a bad fucking drama, Twilight / One Tree Hill with Tomie, and it's just fucking a slog to get through. This one, I had the hardest time getting through this. Like, this was so, I wanted to turn it off. Like, I was like, I don't fucking care. Like, come on. And people have the gall to say the first movie's slow. It's a slow burn, but man, this one was really slow. Like, I wanted to turn this off several different times throughout it. It's just so dull and uninteresting, despite the attractive Tomie. Other than that, this movie stinks. The special effects in this sucks. Like, they try to do showing the body horror of Tomie and the fact that for some reason now Tomie needs a certain type of blood to survive, and it's fucking horrible. Like, it's so convoluted, it's so silly, and at the same time it's taking itself seriously, and it doesn't work. It almost feels like they came to this director, and this director sucked, by the way, Tomohiro Kubo. It's almost like they came to him and said, Tomie versus Tomie, let's have a ball with this, let's have a good time, let's give him a popcorn movie. And he said, no, I'm going to win a fucking Oscar. And it doesn't work at all. It feels like the studio wanted to make one movie, he wanted to make another. And this is one case where I actually fault the filmmaker and his vision. And I know I'm very rarely one to do that. But to me, in this world that you created, and in this world where you've gone through 7 fucking movies where all of them were serious, I do think this would have been the time to finally throw a popcorn movie in there to garner new interest in it again. Okay, cool. I'm into this now. Like, I'm back into it. That was a fun time at the movies. Who's Tomie going to fight next time? That's the reaction you probably wanted. And instead, you had this movie where it's literally a bad love triangle soap opera, fucking One Tree Hill or The OC. We've been on the run, driving in the sun, looking out for Tomie, Tomie, here we come, right back where we started from. I mean, it just is a bunch of nonsense. It feels like a fucking bad episode of 90210. And nobody's fucking having a good time. I hated Tomie versus Tomie. Easily the worst one of the series for me. And that's coming off Revenge, which sucks too. But I hated Tomie versus Tomie. A total mess of a film and a missed opportunity to have a good time at the movies and get interest back in this character. And I think a lot of the reason why Tomie has not had an entry in nearly 15 years, right? If once we get to April, if there's no Tomie movie, which I don't believe there's going to be, we've hit the 15-year cold spell, right? Where there hasn't been a Tomie movie in 15 years. It's kind of crazy how it happens, right? We had 9 in 13 years and now 0 in the past 15 years in another couple months. Crazy how that works. Crazy how quickly the boiler room can go cold. That's kind of how it is. Don't sugarcoat it, Grande. Yes, absolutely. Don't sugarcoat it. That's definitely not the one to start with. No, definitely not. But Tomie versus Tomie is fucking horrible. With that being said, we get to the last movie. The last movie of the Tomie series from the year 2011, the last Tomie movie to date, is Tomie Unlimited. Brief plot synopsis. A photography student's life takes a turn for the worse when her dead sister is welcomed back into the family home. Tomie Unlimited. Now, if you've sat through this whole episode, now I know we had a lot more people here at the beginning than we have now, so I'm sorry if this is not an interesting topic for you. I'm having a blast, and I do appreciate you that stuck it out. I do appreciate you that were here earlier. I do whatever time you stayed here, I do appreciate you. This one might just be the one for you. And what do I mean by that? Personally, not even in my top half of the franchise. Not a great movie by any means or stretch of the imagination. However, if I know some of my graveyardians, and I won't name you all, but I'll name some of you. Miss C, Merdsey Movie Mansion, people that I know that love schlock cinema. This is the Tomie movie for you. You will not, I guarantee you, of all 9 of these movies, if you really sat down and watched all 9 of these movies, I guarantee you that a Merns, that a Miss C, people that enjoy schlock will consider this Tomie movie the best, and I know a lot of people that do. Tomie Unlimited is sort of the black sheep in a way, but in a positive light, because this is directed by Noboru Iguchi. Now, some people may know that name. Some people may not know that name. Noboru Iguchi is a famed schlock Japanese filmmaker. What are some of the schlock Japanese movies he's made, Grande? Have you ever seen a little movie called Machine Girl? Love that movie. A lot of fun. He's the director of that. He steps into the chair. Okay, give me Tomie. This time, instead of Tomie versus Tomie, this time we're going to get the guy to give us the schlocky, fun Tomie movie that we wanted with the last one. That's kind of how it feels. It feels like, call in Noboru. He'll give us that schlock movie. We can fucking put that Tomie in the rearview mirror. This is going to be the guy that actually gives the one that we want. Great idea. And it's what the series needed. And a lot of people, from what I read, thought this was the best of the Tomie movies. And that's great if you do, because how many times does the 9th film of a franchise, does the movie that is last to date, there's never been a Tomie movie since this movie, how many times is that the fucking one that's the favorite for people? It's so rare. Next to impossible that it happens, but it happens here with this movie. And you may be asking yourself, oh, Grande, it's made by a schlock cinema filmmaker. Is there anybody else involved in these movies that I might be familiar with? And the answer is absolutely. Now, if you're a fan of a movie that I've talked about in the past called Tokyo Gore Police or Vampire Girl versus Frankenstein Girl, you may remember a name of Yoshihiro Nishimura, who's the special makeup effects guy in this, and he makes all the effects look really schlocky, fun, silly, and over the top. You can almost taste the blood off the screen. And this one tells a very weird story where Tomie is a part of a family all of a sudden. And Tomie is the big sister to this little sister. And the movie opens up where Tomie is kind of talking at the school, seems like a normal, nice girl. She gets impaled by a fucking pipe, Final Destination style, dies, and the movie kind of plays out from there where they're grieving her, and oh, we miss our daughter Tomie. She would have been 18 today, and Tomie knocks on the door and welcomes herself back in, and of course, she's not the same. This is more like a Pet Cemetery, like, okay, Tomie was good, and then now when she's come back, she's evil, she's manipulative, and she's causing havoc in the school. And this entire movie is just crazy mayhem. It's just an absolute popcorn movie that, I think a lot of people are going to gravitate towards and like, considering the 8 movies that came before it that are all very serious and taking themselves melodramatic seriously, horrifically seriously, or a combination between the two. This one is more, fuck that. Let's have a fucking good time. This would be the best Tomie movie to watch with friends, a crowd, a pizza, a fucking pie, the whole 9 yards. This would be the one that you would sit down and watch with them and enjoy yourself. It feels like a breath of fresh air that this series desperately needed. Now, got to remember who's reviewing this movie, though. I'm not a guy that likes or loves. Okay, I wouldn't say not likes schlock. I don't love schlock like a lot of people. I'd much rather you do the serious attempt and fail than do the schlock attempt and fail. Like I would rather try a serious film than something like this. However, in this circumstance of this series, this is what it needed, and I can absolutely tell you that. It's not one of my favorites. I think it's a little silly. That would be an understatement of the year saying it's a little silly. Of course, Miyu Nakamura plays Tomie in this. She's a big fan favorite. I didn't really like her that much as Tomie. I thought she was okay, but she wasn't one of my favorite Tomies at all. I thought she was average to like right in the middle of the Tomies for me, for her actress wise. But you can't say that some of the craziness in this isn't funny. Like there's a point where the father is like eating Tomie's hair and rubbing his face through it, like he's Crispin Glover in Charlie's Angels. I thought that was a riot. There's a point where Tomie tries karate, and this guy's like, "I'll go easy on you," and she fucking flips him over. I thought that was great. And there's just kind of a lot of crazy havoc and chaos that ensues that is all, stemming and driven by Tomie Kawakami. All that stuff is a lot of fun. I enjoyed that element of the movie, and I think everyone is having a good time making this. Story-wise, there's really not much to go into. They do kind of do a tribute to all the actors that played Tomie at the end, and I really like that considering this was the last one. I think it's a shame. I think this would have been a good palate cleanser, and then let's try something serious again a few years down the road. Let's try it again. Let's try to bring this back and bring it back in a big way. Whereas instead, crickets after this. This was a movie that came, that went, there is a Blu-ray of it out that is findable, but is a movie that, again, didn't spawn any interest to make any more, and now 15 years nearly have passed since Tomie Kawakami has been on the big screen in live action, and it's kind of sad to me because it's crazy. It feels like it's a series that blew its load, but at the same time, was there much more to blow at the same time? It's a weird question. I don't know. Tomie Unlimited is a weird one for me. I think most people would say it's one of the better ones. For me, it's like a C+. It's compared to Tomie Revenge and Tomie versus Tomie, it's an A, but compared to the rest of the movies, it's right in the middle for me. It's like a C+. I like the direction it took the series. I like some of the elements, some of the laugh out loud moments, some of the crazy bad special effects. The schlock is schlocky here, so you'll enjoy that. But to me, you're missing a lot of key elements too. You're missing the horror, you're missing psychology, you're missing a moral. A lot of these things that I don't feel are in the film, and they aren't intended to be. So that's just more my taste over somebody that may love schlock. Like I guarantee you, if I showed this movie to Mersey, he would have a ball with this. Like, this is a Paul Mersey's movie, the action movie. I know he'd love it. So Mersey, if you watch this, buddy, we love you. And of course, I do know of all 9 Tomies, Tomie 9 would be the one to watch for you. I guarantee it. But it is what it is. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I think it's a step up from what we were at. And it is what it is. But let's see what we have in the comments here. Where were we? Next week on Grande's favorite merchant ivory period films, Grande's favorite director is the lover of 1800s period. Really, it must be good. I consider myself one of a schlock. Yeah, that's Willem Dafoe. I consider myself some a kind of schlock expert. Yeah, you would. I know you would love this. Like this is a Miss C movie for sure. Just joking around. No worries. Next week, Grande analyzes paint drying on a wall. Okay, I might need to do a schlock trilogy in the future. Yeah, no, schlock draws, I guess it depends on schlock film. There are really good low budget, no budget films. Yeah, no, schlock depends. It also depends on the viewer. So if another Tomie film comes out, Grande, will you watch it? Yeah, I mean, listen, I watched 9 of these in 4 days. So the answer would be yes. I would not be opposed to Tomie Part 10, Tomie X, if you will. I'm not opposed to it. I just find it amazing that you milked something so much over such a short period, and now that boiler has gone oh so cold. Like it's a very interesting look and dissection at the genre. It's crazy. Like they still to this day try to make Sadako movies. They just a few years ago tried to make a Grudge movie. But it seems like Tomie has run ice cold. I mean, I would love, it's funny, of all the Japanese horror that was remade in America, they never tried Tomie. And this would be the one that I think could adapt easily to American audiences because the premise is so easy to understand. And you could tell the story of, if I know the big, contention with Japanese horror remakes. Oh, well, you take it out of Japan. Well, listen, with Tomie, you could have her be the foreign exchange student in America, and it's out of Japan, and you could make your American remake and Tomie, oh, I speak English, whatever reason you want to write in. And you can make Tomie 10 in the States, and Tomie ruins the Americans, and Tomie is spread throughout America by the end of it. That's where you could go with it and have a good time, Is that maybe what I would do if I was doing a Tomie Part 10? But would I watch it? Absolutely. I'm a fan of this character, and I think that, despite some of the lower ones, I think there's more good than bad in this series. I think it's a pretty good franchise, to be honest. Do they need to be watched in order? They do not need to be watched in order. The only one that has any kind of chronology is Beginning and the original Tomie. Like Beginning is a prequel to this movie. But all of the rest of them, you could watch them in any order. It would never matter. Might skip to 9 first. That's the thing. And I know Hanley likes some schlock too. That's the thing. I totally think if dependent on who you are, depending on what your taste is going to be very telling on which movies of this you do and do not like. Tomie 9, it is Tomie Unlimited. That's a great title for it because it truly feels like they just we're unlimited. Like we don't have any limits now. The restraints are off. We're just going to be batshit crazy and over the top. And I like that about it. I definitely do appreciate they went that way. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like me with SOB films, the guilty pleasure for me. Great stuff, John. As always, love your commenters. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Awesome reviews, Grande. I got more out of reviewing them than me trying to watch all of them. Thank you. Before y'all go, we got to tell you who the best Tomie is. That was the one last thing. But before we do that, I just want to go over this one last time. I guess the full ranking. Tomie, the original, 1998, is my favorite, the S tier of the series. I love the sequel, second best, Tomie, Another Face, my second favorite of the bunch. Tomie Rebirth, Takashi Shimizu at his just J-horror goodness, man. Really, really great. Love how he directs horror. Another A-tier movie for me. Tomie Beginning, a good prequel. I know people don't like it. To me, it's simple. It went back to the beginning in a good way, no pun intended. Tomie Forbidden Fruit would be number 5. Really good melodrama, 40 minutes of really good acting, and then the movie kind of loses its way from there, but the first 40 minutes is so good that I can put it in the B- tier. Tomie Unlimited, schlock, baby. Popcorn Tomie. I think the one that most people would gravitate towards. Tomie Replay, the biggest missed opportunity of the series, and to me, the one that I'm most disappointed in, despite not being the worst, is the D here. And then Tomie Revenge and Tomie versus Tomie are absolute failures for me. I think those two are abysmal. I would not recommend or watch either one of those two if I'm you. Like skip part 7, skip part 8. The rest I think are all worth a watch. I truly do. I think you could make an argument to watch any of the rest of them. So that is the Tomie movies ranked and reviewed. However, I wanted to play one more little game before we call it a weekend here. And that is who's the best live action Tomie actress. And we have created a little tier here, right, for who is the best live action Tomie actress. The UFU website that Mateo and I usually use, it for whatever reason is going through some, I guess, maintenance right now. So that website wasn't available. I found this spam one. This is the same website basically, but I guess a bootleg version of it. I will preface by saying, you're probably wondering, Grande, there's 9 Tomie movies. There's 10 different Tomie actresses. There's only to be 8 actresses on this list. So what did I do? I removed the 2 that I felt were the weakest. Of course, the Tomie in Revenge and the other Tomie in Tomie versus Tomie. Shocker, those are the worst 2 Tomie movies. Have my least favorite 2 Tomies in them. So go figure. These are the top 8 Tomies. Who is number 1? We're going to find out right now. Who is the best Tomie actress to end the show? Let's do it. 7 rounds, no regrets. We have Rio Matsumoto from Tomie Beginning versus Miki Saki in Tomie Rebirth. Man, this is a close one. I actually think this is one of the closer matchups you're going to get here. They're both right towards the middle. Rio was definitely the more attractive of the 2. And I think Rio had a great childlike quality to her. Like the way that she would high-pitched voice and try to lure you in. I thought she did that part of it right. But then Miki Saki, or Miki Sakai, if you will, I misspelled that. It's Miki Sakai. The way she could turn it on really quick and get serious was great. Like, I loved how she played it, and she could be funny, but at the same time, she could be scary while being funny. I think she was a little bit more well-rounded. So I'm going to go Miki Saki for this round. She's going to move on to the next round. As we have Yu Abiro versus Mio Nakamura in Tomie Unlimited. Okay, so Yu Abiro from Tomie versus Tomie in the main Tomie. Mio Nakamura from Tomie Unlimited. This is good. I'm going to get in hot water for this. Like, people got to fucking hate me for this. I like Yu Abiro a little bit better as Tomie. People love Mio Nakamura, and people say she's the best Tomie. I respect that. I thought Yu Abiro was better. She was definitely more attractive, and I thought that despite being in a terrible movie, she was probably the only thing worth watching in it. So I will go Yu Abiro for that one. Runa Nagi versus Nozomi Ando. Okay, interesting one. Now, these 2 played it completely different. This is an interesting match where Runa Nagi played it very childlike and innocent through a lot of it, and then turned it on when she had to. Nozomi Ando played it very serious throughout. Like, she very rarely used the lure you in voice. It was much more like in command of her Tomie movie, respectively. So you have a very weird dichotomy here. You have one that played it like a babyface that had to turn it on every now and again, and you had one that played it like a heel pretty much the whole way through, that turned it on maybe once or twice of I'm this good person, right? Different dynamics. You also, weirdly enough, and this doesn't really matter, but is the truth. I would say Runa Nagi is the most attractive of the Tomie actresses, and Nozomi, I would say, is the least attractive. So that's a part of it where I could certainly say, like, okay, this character is supposed to be fucking beautiful. I totally see more of the beauty in Runa. Like, I could see myself falling under the spell of Runa before I would do, Nozomi. So I think that does play a part of it, despite what I just said. This is so close. I would go with Runa Nagi. Runa Nagi, I thought, was a little bit better. She was really alluring and seductive, and I liked Runa Nagi better. And she did some great crazy eyes. If you like great crazy eyes, watch Runa Nagi. Her crazy eyes in the movie are a lot of fun. I liked Runa Nagi a lot. Runa Nagi would win that one for me. Last matchup of the first round. Wow, this is a mismatch. This is basically like Stone Cold Steve Austin versus fucking Colin Delaney. Mio Kano is literally Oscar worthy as Tomie, whereas Mei Hosho is the worst Tomie that made this bracket. I hate Mei Hosho. She's beautiful. Mei Hosho is beautiful, like top 4 Tomie hotness. But she sucked in the role. Like, she was not good. Maybe it wasn't her fault. Maybe it was the direction. But one thing is for sure, Miho Kano is taking that realm by a fucking landslide. Miki Sakai or Yu Abiro. Oh, man. Phew. I would give it to Miki Sakai. I thought she was a little bit better. Miki Sakai was just, I don't know, she's way more well-rounded, like we said. And oh man, this is your wife taking on your ex-wife or something like this. I love both these women so much. Runa Nagai, so good, but Mio Kano is just iconic, man. Mio Kano's spiel at the end and the whole build of her character, intensity in her eyes. Give it to Mio Kano. Finals. All right, finals here. Miki Sakai or Mio Kano. I love both these actresses. I think these two and Runa Nagi are perhaps the best of the Tomie actresses. But to me, there's only one Tomie actress that stands at the S tier and above all the rest. And it's no disrespect to Runa Nagi, no disrespect to Miki Sakai, but it's Miho Kano as Tomie. That is my winner of the best Tomie actress, for my humble opinion. She is absolutely incredible. So Miho Kano, great stuff. I would like to know this, before we call it a night here. I would love if any of these women do conventions. I'd love to meet some of these actresses. Like I thought, Grande Nagi, I thought was so good, and despite all the bad reviews I read, and the whole she was a model, not an actress, whatever. That's fine. Like she did a good job of that role to me, and like I'd love to meet her. I'd love to meet Mio Kano and tell her how much her performance in this movie like it inspired me and excited me as a film fan. And I don't know. I just thought like that's what good movies are all about. Like it's Miho Kano's performance in the original Tomie. She's great in it. Let's see what you guys have to say. I was only paying attention for a change. Yeah, were you? People talking to one another. I go Mia. I go Runa. I go Runa. Oh God, the raps. I go with her too. Yeah, I think Miho Kano is the best of the Tomie actresses. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun talking about the girl of your dreams. I know that obviously this is a topic where we may get more replays. No pun intended on Tomie Part 3 replay. We may get more replays. The whole J horror thing generally garners really well in the replay category. So if you guys are catching the replay, do comment down below. Let me know what your favorite Tomie movie is. Let me know who your favorite Tomie actress is. If you have not seen these movies and want to reach out, if you watch any of them, give any of them a shot, I highly do recommend you do reach out to me. I'd always like to discuss and talk Tomie movies. I always like to compare and contrast rankings, if you will. It's always fun. What's next week, Grande? Next week on Grande's Graveyard, it is going to be the reality TV horror movie special, where we'll be discussing not one, not two, but three horror movies based on reality television concepts. And I'm very excited. We're going to be reviewing Red Room it's also a Japanese film from 1999. We'll be reviewing My Little Eye and Colobos from 1999 as well. So very excited for next week, the reality horror special, something we've never done on Grande's Graveyard. Always a fun one. So I'm looking forward to that. Great show, Grande. I'll definitely check out some of the sequels. Have a great night, everyone. John, thank you so much, man. Hope all is well with you. I hope you have a great rest of the night. Oli. I guess that's my cue. Everybody, thank you so much for a very fun night. Long live horror's most iconic girl, Tomie Kawakami. May she long live. And I hope that we do get another Tomie movie somewhere down the road. But everybody, I hope you have a safe, happy, healthy weekend. Stay safe. I know another storm's coming. Stay safe. And if you can't get out of the house, watch some Tomie Kawakami movies. And we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. Too sweet peace. We'll catch you next time. Good night, everybody. Cheers to the girl of your dreams.